Gambia we tamala Luffy amma mut fenen Sama mam dana mo wanan Damareka war Nyapa polo don bena Kandunya muna dara Reo me sunyu reula Nyapa anda jog Nunglinyan Jama sasa sunyu reu Sapante te japante Moi sunyu waref Burialenyo Gelinyan Nasama sunyu digante Nyapa mangu te dono ben lolu Lafi mami bayi bon Nyapa mangu te dono ben Gijamu Gambia
Jotali makas bilel tanghal masindal biway Bonyi be nga nuyul masa papa way Oyal ma aji wako mata nena awane Ñu magal tobaski ji way Genaaw elek Noël la su passé ba ñu tek si ñaari semaine sang mari la tam Loolu lañ fi xam benn baat loolu lañu am juróom ñaari nit ci benn bool loolu lañu xam arjodo ga tambi nang nuyul masa papa ankira jam bul ma jam jama lañ fi am amut xeete amut diine loolu lañ fi bàyyi woon dama ne loolu lañ fi bàyyi woon
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. So first and foremost, let me put up a disclaimer. Honestly, the plan was to come and speak about the Bob Ketter trial, but it has been overtaken by events. Basically, what has happened is that over the course of the past few days and weeks, we have seen that the Gambia has been on the international spotlight. So both internationally and locally, the Gambia has been on the spotlight for what we can all agree is nothing short of a tragedy. The stats that we have, the official numbers as we speak, stands at 66. So 66 Gambian children have lost their lives due to acute kidney injury, which is, by all accounts, a direct cause of some sort of paracetamol syrup, cough mixtures that were ordered from India, and it has proliferated the Gambian pharmaceutical market. And as we speak, the World Health Organization, WHO, has put up a very robust and comprehensive report on this issue, and the Gambia government has proceeded to recall all these medications that are in the market as we speak. And the government, in a press release that was done, I think, in consonant with the president's speech, says that the administration is reviewing the entire drug and medical licensing regime to inform other courses of action. It also further says that meanwhile, the president has assigned a high-powered delegation to meet the families affected by the AKI death cases, and he has also expressed his government's condolences and share their grief. Um, Gambians have taken on to social media, and the uproar is unprecedented. People are sad, people are hurt, and today we decided that rather than come on with the Bob Ketter issue, the Bob Ketter trial, so that it does not seem as if we are Gambians that are only focused on one individual who is Bob Ketter. No, we are a set of Gambians, a set of people, individuals that are concerned with the overall well-being of the Gambia, be it the health sector, be it the justice sector, be it the judicial system. We care about everything holistic that has to do with Gambia. So today with me, I have the phenomenal Dr. J. Cisse. Dr. J. Cisse is a medical practitioner domiciled in the United States of America. I've also got Mrs. Ami Shylon Bensouda. Mrs. Ami Shylon Bensouda is also an expert within this area, especially with drug control substances, issues of social care. And of course, we have no other than Mrs. Faith Kolsar. Mrs. Faith Kolsar is also a nurse and a medical, um, practitioner in her own right. She's got vast experience of over 30 years in the nursing sector. She owns a clinic in the UK, and she works between Dubai and the United Kingdom. So these are my guests tonight, and we're going to go in depth into what, as I've stated before, by all accounts, is an absolute tragedy in the Gambia, and the Gambia is mourning today. So welcome on board, ladies, and thank you for joining me.
Thanks a lot, Melvin. Thank you very much. Appreciate the fact you got me on board. Appreciate.
You are welcome. So I'll just go, firstly, I'll go to Dr. J. Cisse. Dr. J, you must have been following what's going on in the Gambia as we speak. Sad, sad tragedy. Your thoughts?
Thank you, Melvin. Thank you for having me. And I'm saying hello to Sister Ami and Sister Faith for being here with me today. This is absolutely a tragedy, and it's very sad. It's unfortunate that we are living in this type of a country. I heard about the issue of kids dying from AKI, which is acute kidney injury, at least about 2 or 3 months ago. But I couldn't speak about it because I did not really know exactly what was going on. My sister Juka alerted me about the incident and the deaths that were happening. And if people have taken their due diligence at the time to discuss the issue of do further investigation, I think the issue would have stopped at that very moment. And it's sad that at that time we did not hear anything from the government except rumors from regular people, citizens that were concerned about these kids dying. So I would stop for now and later on speak more about the issue at hand and my take on the whole system itself and the medical system of the Gambia.
Thank you, Dr. J. Mrs. Bensouda. Mrs. Bensouda, I know you're very active on social media, and we have seen the phenomenal work you did with regards your back to school drive. And all of a sudden, this is coming up now where 66 kids have died. This is the official numbers as released by the WHO. I'm certain that the numbers are way higher than is reflected in the official figures. There are those people that have not reached hospitals. There are those families who had to bury their children because they couldn't have access to the hospitals. There are those children who died in hospital, but their deaths were not linked to the AKI, which is the acute kidney. What's it? acute kidney
An injury.
injury, which is as a result of them taking these cough syrups that are made from an Indian company and supplied to the Gambia. So definitely, the figures are way higher than we have been, made to understand. So, Mrs. Bensouda, over to you.
Well, thank you. First, I will express gratitude and honor that it is to sit with co-panelists here, Dr. J and Faith, and of course you, Melville, and the technician. But I would like to express appreciation to the viewers, those that support your platform, and to our listeners. My take on this is like, first, I would have to say I'm not a medical practitioner, but I navigate through the system of finding equity. Equity. Well, thank you. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what I was saying that is that I am very active in equity. Equity meaning the marginalized, the vulnerable to have access to quality health care. And this is first, it's hard for me to even find words to express how I am feeling. And in no way equates to how the people that have experienced this kind of loss, I don't know how they must be feeling. And my hearts and thoughts and prayers are with the families and every individual that has been affected by this tragedy. I will stop for now and elaborate more on my take on the whole issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bensouda. Mrs. Kolsar.
Yes.
Mrs. Kolsar, you are a nursing sister. You have been navigating the corridors of the hospitals and the medical fraternity. You have been a very should I say a very important and integral part of the medical fraternity in the United Kingdom. I also know and I am aware that you, I think this was in during the former regime, you actually sponsored and renovated the accident and emergency wing of the RVTH, and you have done a lot of philanthropic work with regards the medical sector in the Gambia. How do you feel? Mrs. Sarr, just watching from Dubai and having to understand that 66 innocent children have lost their lives to what we can all attribute to a senseless cause of death, a cause of death that could have been avoided, a cause of death that was based on premeditated greed coming from a factory in India that WHO have now officially stated that the only country that they have supplied these drugs and medications to is the Gambia. What is your take on this?
Thanks, Mel, for inviting me on this platform. I'm very happy that you did. Basically, I'm not surprised. The reason why I said I'm not surprised, it's because the whole system of the whole medical system in the Gambia, from top to bottom, is a total disaster. The reason why I'm saying this, and I'm backing my findings, are two fundamental experiences which I had when I was in the Gambia. When I decided to donate to the accident and emergency, people thought that I was donating to Jame, but no. I was donating because Gambia invested in me and my education. And when I had some money, I thought, how do I repay Gambia for investing in my education? The only thing I cannot go about sharing money because I don't have all that money. So I have to put it in a segment that I understood and I could do well, and that was the medical segment and a bit on education. So I then went and spoke to the Minister of Health at the time, Dr. Gassama, and he told me that they needed to upgrade their accident and emergency into a world-class standard, which I happily did. Spent a lot of money, about £140,000 at the time. This was in 2003. And I single-handedly went through everything with the builder. It wasn't just building it. I furnished it as well and made sure everything was there, computerized it for medical records, so that you wouldn't have errors and catastrophes like these. When I was there, I did, everything was perfect. We inaugurated it, I left, and I went back to Abidjan at the time. 6 months later, I wrote them an email asking them whether they needed more equipment, because I know how they service their equipment. Till today, I haven't had a reply. I complained to the Minister of Health when I met him. I told him, listen, these people are jokers. Somebody wants to give you something, they send you an email, at least respond. You know, this is free, this is not nothing. But the second incident, which I know that this catastrophe was bound to happen, was I offered myself to be lecturing in the nursing school whenever I go to the Gambia on my spare time, because I thought, well, I'm on holiday, I'm not doing much, I'm not working, at least let me pass on knowledge. So I spoke to the director of nursing school, a gentleman, forgot his name. And he gladly, you know what I mean, told me, yes, you can. So he said to me, listen, we have issued with certain subjects. So could you please lecture this? I said, no problem, I'll do it. So he allocated 2 hours of the time with the students for me to be lecturing them. I think I had about 4 lectures, 2 hours each time on different subjects like ITU, accident and emergency, the acute areas actually. So, excuse me, I lectured the students, and from 2 hours, I stayed 4 hours each time because the children were hungry to learn. Whenever I interviewed them during the lectures, I thought, hang on a minute, where are we? Are we in the 21st century or are we in an ancient era? These children, they don't know much. They're asking, they were hungry. I was even asking them, do you have access to internet to be able to search the Google search engine for certain things so that you understand? But then you have a health sector where everything should be intertwined, but it's not. You find that there's a broken system. There are the educational system, communication system, documentation, policies and everything, you know, and these are not in place. So naturally, when you have a drug that enters the system and there are categorical failures which come upon, for everybody is failing themselves, and there is no alarm being set, how do you expect it to function when people are not ringing the alarm bells? If a drug comes from India, it's bound to go into Gambia. People are corrupted. People want money. And when you look at life in a whole, you think, why do you go to the mosque? Why do you go to the church to pray? Where is your God? Where is your belief in your neighbor? Where is it? You have to have an attitude of liking your neighbor or loving your neighbor to be able to do something good. And the moment you don't like your neighbor, you will not perform. You won't have the love for your career or your job to be able to perform due diligence. An example that I have is, I'm from small Gambia. I went to school in the Gambia. When I left the Gambia, I was 17. But I went to Scotland. I did my nursing and all my qualifications there before I moved to London in 1990 and continued working in a private hospital. When I worked there, I met a lot of Arabs. I looked after head of state. I looked after, you know what I mean, sheikhs, kings, all of them. And then I used to sit in a corner and said, that's me, Faith, from poor Gambia, a Black African. And I'm looking after these high rankers. Why did I have such an opportunity? So I had to reassess myself and say, how come it's me? It's not a blonde, blue-eyed girl that everybody wants in UK. I don't know about the States. But when you have these high rankers, it has to be a white person. They have to be blue-eyed or blonde. And I thought, well, there is me. We currently here, black skin from Gambia. Why? Why me? It came back to my education, my delivery of service and my commitment vis-a-vis patient-nurse relationship. And this is the reason why I could perform to these high rankers, because they saw my dedication to my job. But in the Gambia, there's lacking of dedication. When you go into the health sector, you don't look at money. You look at the love of caring for somebody and making sure they don't die. They don't die, because as a patient once in a hospital myself, I did a reverse role. And I used to lie in my bed and look at the nurses and the doctors. I checked their body language. From my perspective, did they love their job, their dress code, their shoes? Is it clean? All of these little things. And then I thought, yeah, so this is how the patients look at me. So therefore, I have to improve in my standards. So it taught me something. I'm always thinking, reminiscing, reflecting on certain things. And me as Faith, my name is Faith, I was the first Faith in the Gambia. My journey, my legacy is to make sure that whoever I come into touch with, regardless of health, wealth, or anything, I have to be a shining example and touch them with that shining example so that they become a better person.
Mrs.
Sar, yes.
Mrs. Sar, put a block, just a pause on that. You have mentioned standards.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Dr. J, yes. I'll take it from where Faith just mentioned about standards, about ethics surrounding the health and medical industry, I should say.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. J, we are told by WHO that some of the ingredients that could be found in these medications are ingredients that could be found in air conditioners, car radiators. So talking about ethics, talking about standards, Dr. J, what do you make of this?
I just want to thank Sister Faith for what she has alluded about standards and character. I think that is one thing that we are lacking in our society. We are not even sure about the definition of character, what it means to have a character, before you get it indulged into ethics and standards, because a person must value themselves first and see themselves as a person that has a character, and that is just one and only one character, before you can even indulge into ethics and morale and what are the value system that that individual has. It's not just education that's going to let you have those things. It has to have been embedded in you through your background, how you were raised, how you were taught as a child. And it stays in your subconscious mind as you grow older and as you grow and stay in society and become part of society. That subconscious mind becomes you. And when you go into education, that same subconscious mind is what leads you into believing that you are not just an individual that cares for self, but you are an individual that cares for the society. Okay. And then when you are educated, then you take that same character into your moral system, into your ethical system, to know that this is not just medicine, but there are principles that are supposed to be guiding that medical practice for you to be that perfect practitioner. Whether you are a nurse, whether you are an aide, it does not matter. Whether you are a janitor, it does not matter. So that is very important. That's a priority in our system that has to change. And it will take people like Faith and yourself and multiple other people that will take their time to teach and talk to people, not just to teach, but to talk to people, to talk to one another, for us to understand what it means to have a system like that. You said something very important about the chemicals that are in these drugs. I would like to say a little bit about those chemicals so people can understand what are the things to look out for. Because I think this should not just be us talking about issues, but about solutions for people to learn from and take something and transfer it to friends and family. Because we're speaking English, but for me, it would be even better if we can also speak in our native languages, so the average person, or maybe I can do a video in Wolof or Mandinka and share it later, and people can share it on WhatsApp groups so they can educate themselves. The chemical that I saw from WHO is diethanol glycol or ethanol glycol. These are two very similar chemicals. Diethanol, di means stew, basically the chain when you go into chemistry, that's the only difference. But this base of chemical is usually found in antifreeze and brakes in cars and sometimes some cosmetic products, and it will even let you know how much irritation that can cause to the skin. So diethanol glycol or ethanol glycol was found in these products like the promethazine, which is a nausea medication. And if it is under DM, it is a cough syrup. I have a few of the other, I think it was the promethazine and there was a cough fix that's not even found in the US, cough, grief, cold remedies that are used for these kids. But ethanol or diethanol glycol, when it's ingested, it is a toxic agent. It is not supposed to be ingested. And if it is found in cosmetic products, you should have a warning on it that it should be very minimal and it can be transmitted through the skin into the system. And when these products are ingested or this chemical is ingested, it is very, very deadly. You're talking about 30 minutes to 12 hours from the time of ingestion for you to start having symptoms. And within 72 hours onwards, you can have organ damage, organ failure, which is what they were seeing in the AKI. They're calling it acute kidney injury, but it's not really acute kidney injury. Acute kidney injury meaning the early onset of kidney damage. But when you're talking about organ death, yes? When you're talking about organ damage, at that point, it's no longer acute kidney injury. So on the onset of the ingestion of this product, there are symptoms like headache, fatigue, lack of coordination, because the ethanol itself is like ethanol alcohol, right? The alcoholic base, like when you ingest alcohol, the base is considered ethanol, right? When you're looking for ethanol, when you're looking for a lab test, when you're testing someone if they've ingested alcohol, I know Faith probably knows what I'm talking about. So the product, like if you ingest alcohol, what happens to you? You are drowsy, right? You are lethargic. You are not having coordination. So when this happens to a little kid, just imagine a little kid ingesting alcohol itself. How would they feel? Much more a toxic agent that was put in this medication, and we do not know at what concentration, right? So when this person ingests this product, they can get groggy, slurred speech, meaning when they're trying to speak, they mumble just like a drunkard, okay? They start having nausea and vomiting. This is the early stages of ingesting these products, all right? So later on, and this is usually within that 30 minutes to 12 hours. When you go into the 24 to 72 hours, which is about 3 days, then the person start having organ damage. And the symptoms of organ damage, you're talking about rapid heartbeat, because now you've been throwing up, you've been lethargic, your central nervous system is messed up because that's what it attacks, okay? Then the body is trying to regroup itself to help you live and survive. That's why this person will have rapid heartbeat, meaning their heart start beating real fast. And then at that point, the person may have difficulty urinating because it will not only attack the kidney, but it will attack the liver, okay? Because the liver is the machine that processes the chemical so your body can use it. But then the kidney is the part of the body that will excrete the product from your system. So that is why you have these major organ damage. So your heart, your central nervous system, which is your brain, and those are the symptoms you see early on, which is the lethargy and the fatigue and all the confusion and all that stuff. But once the person goes into after the 72 hours, then their heart is beating real fast. They cannot pee. By the time the person does not pee, whether it's from this ingestion of alcohol or ethanol or from any ingestion or any disease, before a person dies, you would see that their urine production decreases to the point of no production at all.
Wow.
So that is why you see these kids will end up dying. But then the other symptoms that they may see is shortness of breath, meaning difficulty breathing. And I heard one of the guys from the Ministry of Health saying that they see edema. Like if you have a kid and you see them swelling, you should take them to the emergency room or to the nearest health center. By then, it's already late. So even the information that is being transferred or given to the society is wrong. So when people go out and speak and don't have the knowledge or the capacity to do the jobs that they were supposed to do, like Sister Sarah just alluded earlier, healthcare does not require nepotism, favoritism, or my friend or my family. Healthcare is one agent that should not be based on a friendship, that should be based on the knowledge and the love for what you're doing. Not only knowledge, remember where I started from. You have to have the ethical principles embedded within you in your subconscious mind before you even get education. It does not, it's not just in the Gambia, even in the West, where I am right here in the US, you have doctors and nurses that will kill patients because of who they are, right? That has nothing to do with the profession. That has everything to do with the individual. But in the Gambia, it has everything to do with the Gambians, the individual Gambians, who are also representing us in government. Because right now, if I were to go into the Gambia to be any health director, the first month that I sack people, they're going to take me to the Marawi people. They're going to cuss my parents.
That's it.
Because guess what?
That's it.
People hold themselves to a very low standard. But then when things like
Very
this
much.
happen, everybody starts yelling and crying. I hate
Billahi.
people that yell and cry. When there is an issue, let's get to the bottom of it and fix the issue and completely ignore the passion, issues, self promotion, and all of this. We're
Sorry.
not here today because we want people to know who we are. We're here today because we believe that the system can change, but the system cannot change without the people themselves changing their mindset, knowing what is their responsibility in society. Because when you have the leadership that are drug enforcement agencies that are looking for quality and criteria, you can have all the policies on earth, but if the policies are not being followed through, and the people themselves don't even recognize what a policy means, because when the president comes out and gives out a speech, and the first part of his speech was how he was minimizing what had just happened. You cannot fix a problem if you cannot even identify that there is a problem. And that is our societal issue. We blame and blame and blame. Even if you are not part of the organization that is supposed to watch the drugs that are coming into the country, but you are the leadership, any responsible leader should take responsibility for anything that happens to the system that he or she is leading. And everything that I heard from the president to the Minister of Health to the representative of the drug enforcement, there was nothing about accepting responsibility, but giving out a blame game on top of blame game. Why we did not have the human resources, we did not have this, we did not have that. Why do we not have those? Why do we not have it? When you can travel to the US, to the UN, and spend millions of dollars, but then you're telling me we do not have the resources for the things that are very, very important in society. I'll stop at this point because I'm getting frustrated and it does not make one sense. Not one sense at
Absolutely.
all.
Absolutely.
It is indeed very, very sad. I mean, I'm listening to Dr. J, I've listened to Faith, I've listened to Mrs. Bensouda at the start, and it is absolutely heart-wrenching. I mean, just going through the step-by-step description of how these medications would affect a human being, let alone toddlers, let alone babies, being helpless, not being able to adequately express or communicate what they're going through and how they're feeling is just absolutely devastating. However, I want to turn on to Mrs. Bensouda at this point. Mrs. Bensouda, you live in the United States. You heard the president speak, and as Dr. J just mentioned, from the president's speech, what we can tell substantively is that the Ministry of Health, the Minister of Health was praised for doing a phenomenal job. By extension, the Ministry of Health, the medical services, the institution responsible for regulating these medicines into the country, they were all praised that they have done a phenomenal job. In the West, in America, in England, if one person dies in an incident that's unfortunate, their leaders take responsibility. We see resignations. We see leaders coming out to the public and apologizing on behalf of the entire system of which they hold the leadership. Mrs. Bensouda, what do you think is wrong with us Gambians where we would fail to accept blame, but we are always wanting to shift the buck from one person to another and not taking responsibility? How can a leadership not take responsibility for an institution that is under their direction, under their purview, and under their governance?
Thank you, Melvin. I could just sit here literally and listen to Dr. J and Faith speak, because it's like every area that I wanted to touch on or express my frustration, they have. But coming back to your question, which I feel like a lot of it has been answered from your statement. Leadership is about being accountable. And I feel like we have, I wouldn't call them leaders because in my eyes, they do not fit. They shouldn't be wearing that shoe. I see people that are money hungry, people that have no compassion, people that have no accountability, people that are just heartless, that would do anything for money, and causing the average Gambian. Let me backtrack. What I see, what I can hear from the president's speech yesterday is actually, don't blame the government, don't blame the ministry, don't blame the people that are put in place that have the responsibility to make sure that the medications and everything that is coming into the country is quality for Gambians. Are punting the responsibility back to the families, the disparate families, the poor mother, the father, people that are sacrificing their rent money, their, what we would call their corporate hour, maybe lunch for their kids. And they have a sick child, and the child is taken to the hospital. By the way, there are no medications at the hospital. They write a note for you and send you to a pharmacy to go and purchase medication. Once you do that, you bring back that medication and give it to your child. And from there on, complication starts and eventually death. What I hear yesterday was a disgrace of a president. I expected more from a president. To start a speech by defending the indefensible, laying blame, pointing fingers, and taking no accountability, I don't think they fit to sit in that chair. Shame on you people, and I mean all of them, from the top to the bottom, for what you are making Gambians go through. For the average Gambian, this will not fly. I mean, heads would have been rolling, hats would have been dropped. I mean, like the very doctor has mentioned, diethanol glycol, that is in radiators and stuff like that for human consumption in a form of medication, that is unheard of. I am beyond, excuse my French, I'm beyond pissed, because it seems like we are in some kind of a shell with no way out. I'm sorry, I'm really getting emotional here. It's just that I can't imagine what these parents are going through. I can't imagine the fact that you purchased the medication that ended up being a cause of death to your child. I don't know how to fathom that. I don't even know how to.
I completely understand how you feel. I'm feeling the same way right now, quite honestly, and I think every single member of this panel is feeling exactly the same way. I'll just go on
Mel,
to
can I say something?
Faith,
Mel, can I say something?
hang on, yeah, I'm coming to you. If you just give me, I'm coming to you now. Faith, you've heard what both Dr. J and Mrs. Ami Bensouda have mentioned. Faith, I'm going to read something to you, and I would like you to take this on and do with it what you may. Tell us how you feel, tell us what you understand from this, and tell us what you make from this. This is an extract from the Indian government reacting to what we are, what we all would accept is a very unfortunate incident in the Gambia. And I read, and I quote, "It is a usual practice that the importing country tests these imported products on quality parameters and satisfy itself as to the quality of the products before the importing country decides to release such products for usage in the Gambia," unquote. And I now quote from the WHO rep report, which states the company has manufactured and exported these products only to the Gambia. Take it on, Faye.
Okay, thank you. Personally, I feel there are systemic and categorical errors from the factory to consumption. The reason why I said that, why should India, that company, just make that medication for Gambia alone? That's a big question mark. Why? Why? You bring in certain thoughts where you think, are they trying to reduce the population? That's a big question mark. Because like COVID, different things that happen in the world, population reduction, you start asking yourself that question. The second thing, when drugs are imported into the country, they have to have a laboratory to make sure that it is of safe consumption for the population at large before it's dispatched into pharmacies. That's why you see in certain countries like Ivory Coast or some French colonies, they have what they call pharmacie de DPM. That is, every medication or fluids that come into the country pass through that department. And they are solely responsible in dispatching it to licensed pharmacists. But in the Gambia, that's not the fact. You know, people import willy-nilly and it goes into the pharmacies. Not only that, the way they handle the medication, the way they store the medication is so wrong. You go into some pharmacies, it's so hot. And there's some medication that's supposed to be, what they call it, they have to be protected by the temperature of fridge temperatures and this. I didn't observe those things when I went into certain pharmacies in the Gambia. The only pharmacy I can truly say I trust is Malak, but apart from the rest, you know, I had my question marks because I do observe all these things when I go into them. The third thing, when there are a catalog of errors along the way, and this is the way I've been taught, somebody has to stop. Somebody has to stop and think about the catalog of errors that is supposed to happen. Because at the end of the day, it's that child that's consuming it. At the end of the day, it's not the doctor that's administrating the medication. The doctor prescribes, the nurse administers. Now, the doctor prescribes, but with pharmacology, the nurse is supposed to know what they're using, side effects of what they're using, and the repercussion of all of that. So I now go, a doctor like Dr. J prescribes a medication and say, Faith, baby blog has to have 2 ml of this syrup and 4 times a day. I said, fine, doctor. She has signed it. It's been prescribed. So she's allowed me to administer this medication. But I also have a responsibility vis-a-vis my pharmacology and my relationship to my patient and observing the side effects on that patient, because everybody is not the same. You may give one patient a drug, the same drug, and they're fine. You give the same drug to somebody else, they have a reaction. So you have to look at all of these things. So it's not just administering the drug and forget about it. You must have to look, watch, and see, are they having a reaction, especially the first dose. And the moment you see a reaction, you stop and you report back to the doctor. Doctor, you have prescribed this, but I'm administering this medication. My observations are, la, 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 la. The doctor will not tell you, fine, you observe this. Could we please stop the medication? Let's monitor this patient, give them hydration, see how they are doing, and then you can retrieve that patient. But if you're not observing as a nurse, you're administering the medication, you give it to the patient, you turn your back, you're on your mobile, you're on your Snapchat, you're on TikTok, la, la, la. Meanwhile, this patient is deteriorating 4 hours later or 6 hours later. You come and give the medication again. How will you know what's happening? And this is the reason why it's taking such a long time. It's consumed a lot, or more than 66%, 66 people in the Gambia. Now, when they say 66, it's not a lot. Let's look at our population.
Faith, hang on. Faith. Mm-hmm. Who said 66 is not a lot? Who said
it is a lot?
66?
It is a lot.
No.
You know why I said it's a lot?
You know
why I said it's a lot?
No, my question is
the percentage to population.
No, not
if we
you,
have
Faith.
100 million population,
not you,
but even one life matters.
Thank you.
One life matters.
Not you, Faith. I'm trying to make a point. The point I'm trying to make, and I'm going to read it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I quote, I must state that the child mortality figure of 66 is not at much variance with the recorded data for similar periods in the past. Faith, these were the words of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Mr. Adama Barrow. In his speech, after 66 innocent Gambian souls, Gambian children have lost their lives, Mr. President in his speech is doing a comparative analysis, of data of the subsequent year, last year, after 66 innocent children have died. What do you make of this?
Basically, I don't think that the president should be blamed wholly. The reason why, the person that gave him the data and wrote it, for him to read it, the person is culpable. The person is culpable. And me, if I was the mother of one of those child, I would have been running riot in the Gambia. I would just one life matters. One, not 66. Just one matters. By killing your child at the end of the day, these people, they've incurred burial costs. They've incurred financial things. And yet they're not going to be compensated, that's for sure. I know that because this is the everyday things of Gambia. But seriously, I just think that there are a catalog of errors that are happening. And this is where I always like Britain. Whenever cases like this appear or happen, they go and do an inquiry. Why? Where did we fail? Where did we fail? Where did we fail? From those failures, we now bring in policies, and we now bring in things like, Melvin, you're in UK, the DBS, to check the person, to make sure they're safe, to be child protection policy, all these type of things. None of it is not there. Documentations are not there. There is no paper trail. There is no computer trail. You cannot go and start saying that, okay, baby Job died on this day. Hang on a minute. Let's go back and see what happened when the child came into hospital. Why did we give this medication? And how come 3 days later, this baby is dead? Hang on a minute. There must be something happening here. If it was me, I'll be quaking. The reason I'll be quaking, because when I was doing my training, every month we had the law and the nurse. The law and the nurse. So I go out to work every day. On my head is the law is sitting on it thinking, If I did something wrong, I'm going to be hauled into prison.
Faith,
So I'm
Faith,
so scared.
Faith, should that message, regardless of where the speech emanates from, regardless of which technocrat wrote that speech, should that message have been delivered to the Gambian public by the President of the Republic of
Absolutely
Gambia?
No,
not.
I don't think it should have been delivered. I just think that there should have been more empathy towards the people that lost their children. And the empathy is, we as a president, we put you in there, we nominated you to be in position. And so you're our keeper. So if you're our keeper, then it means that you should look after our well-being. He has a responsibility. It's like me in my company. You know, I'm the director, but at the same time, I have an eagle eye to watch those people that they do not do anything wrong, because at the end of the day, if there's a complaint, it falls back on me. So he has to take that responsibility. And even before delivering the speech, you should have read it and said to the person, hang on a minute, you wrote this. Why did you write? Do you want to expose me? Why are you writing this? It's wrong. It's wrong. You shouldn't do that.
Faith, let me just interject here. This is a perfect example of the kind of leader that we have. I see my fellow Gambians as being reactive rather than proactive. And this is an issue, and we'll talk about, and maybe in the next few days, our attention, this drop another shiny thing in front of our eyes, and then we go follow that. I'm outraged because I have not seen in some of our political leaders take action, call this government out, call Adam. I hold Adama Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia, wholly responsible for all the blunders that's happening. We have parastatals, we have government branches. If people are not delivering, take them out. We should be able to hold people accountable. And I feel like the reason he is not being accountable because he can't hold anybody else accountable. And that's where the question lies. I'm surprised why we haven't have banners and people go to the State House and hold banners and all of the pictures of the 66 children that we know of that we have lost in their faces. You know, I see a government that just deflates. I see people that just deflate a defante kind of government, and they recruit people that will defante in their names, kuwa nyu tontula, kuwa nyu tegalatama, and have people that are just thinking that we are stupid. We are not stupid. We are Gambians. We are educated. We are strong people. Nahante be, excuse me, nahante be dafa wara jeex. Wahante dega bi dafa jot. This is now about our children dying. This is not a joke. For Adama Barrow, a man like Adama Barrow, a father who has 2 wives, have 8 children. Please, I dare you, Mr. President. Susanja Bobi Febare, go take these same medications and give it to your children, and then come back. And when something happens to them, I don't wish it, come back and tell us how you feel. Come back and tell us what it feels like to go through something like this. The trauma is too much. Faith alluded to something about medications, prescribing from a doctor to a nurse, all the responsibilities that they have. You know what? There are no medications at that hospital or any other hospitals because of the rampant corruption. You get rational garabi and take it back to their own pharmacies and then sell it and then give it to the average Gambian who is so poor, cannot even afford basic life needs, more so medication. It is a disaster. It needs an overhaul. We need to start having these honest conversations. This is beyond nepotism, beyond Kisum Haridla, or I used to know them, their character was like this. Hold them accountable, bring their feet to the fire. And I feel like this subject shouldn't die. We shouldn't just, there's so many things that we could be talking about, but this is about our children. This is about lives. This is no joke. It's not a joke. I'm sorry. I'm super emotional and I'm really just outraged. I am outraged to my core. It's a disaster. It's a shame to sit in front of us when Dr. J just mentioned this like a few weeks or a month ago, they knew about this, but yet they decided to fly people and spend $35 million to fly people to come here and tell us how much is the cost of bread in the United States. Again, I say it, shame on you from top to bottom, but the bus stops with Adama Barrow.
There's one thing that is the major problem in Gambia. You know what it is? Masla culture. Masla.
Faith,
if we stop the text and tanker. No, it is what she was saying. People have to stop Masla culture. Text and tanker. They see something and they refuse to say the truth. We need to have a whistleblowing policy in the Gambia. You see something, you alert the person before they fall into the hole. But they wait till you fall into the hole and then they come, oh, hamon na lolu, you know, gison na ko, nangam, benga rey sa bopa, beparengene hamon. Hey, where are we? Are we educated or not?
Okay, let me just try to direct this conversation so it flows and we go into the next topic.
Sure.
Well, surrounding the same theme. But Faith, you mentioned something which I'm gonna get Dr. J to touch on, and then you can take it on from Dr. J. You mentioned something about you being invited to lecture at the School of Nursing in the Gambia. I take it is the School of Nursing and Midwifery,
Yes.
or it is the
Yes.
school. It is the School of Nursing and Midwifery.
Yes. Yes.
And you mentioned that you could tell when you were giving these lectures that there was a deep yearning, there was a hunger, a thirst for more knowledge. Do you think, and I'm directing this question to Dr. J and yourself, but Dr. J will come on first, and then you could take it on from Dr. J. Do you think that nurses in the Gambia are having the required knowledge, expertise, and skill before they are sent out into the public? Because from what you have mentioned, from what Mrs. Bensouda have mentioned, from what Dr. J have mentioned, it seems there's a complete disconnect. Not only have you guys touched on empathy, not only have you guys touched on character, not only have you guys touched on ethics, but for me, all of this put together boils down to the amount of knowledge, the amount of skill that these individuals take on board. How are they impacted before they are let loose and taking care of people whose lives are in their hands? Do we see this in the Gambia? Do we see nurses acting and believing that they have, not only do they have the knowledge, the required expertise and skill in the nursing field, but do they empathize with their patient? Do they believe in what they do? Do they have adequate training? Or is it a mass production of nurses that we have being pumped into a system to the detriment of the lives of Gambia? Take it on, Dr. J.
Thank you very much, Brother Melvin and Sister Sar and Bensouda. Education is a must for any sector in our country, and education is very lacking in that country. Not just the mere education or the bare minimum, but the fundamental of nursing is lacking. If I were to be given a chance in that country, it would not just be the health care sector that will need revamping. The medical system, the whole medical system, because if you look at the medical system, the university, okay, my sister left the Gambia, came here, joined me, and went to medical school. Before she could even complete her pre-med degree, her colleagues have become doctors already.
Vraiment.
Have become doctors already.
Really?
So what kind of an educational system do you think can bring about those type of qualities that we require in those medical practitioners to become professional doctors to practice medicine on people? We have to stop playing around, because the minute you start criticizing the educational system, people think you are a hater, you are jealous, you don't want these people to succeed. That's bull. Okay, that's bull. It does not make sense to go to a school for 4 years. By the time you're in your 6th year, you're a medical doctor and you're practicing medicine on people. You have to do 4 years of residency. 4 years of residency before your pre-med. Your pre-med alone is 4 years. Your medical school is another 4 years. And then you have another 3 to 4 years of residency before you can even practice independently on a patient. So Gambians need to stop playing around. This is a joke. We are living in a society that's full of jokers. To be honest, I do not want to insult people, but you cannot expect quality when quality is not delivered. You cannot expect teachers to deliver quality knowledge when they themselves do not have the criteria to deliver that education that is needed. I, for one, I do not mind. I teach people here. I precepted nurses for years. I still teach practitioners in my clinic. I am a person of quality. I even told my sister, I do not mind going to the Gambia to teach the little classes that I offer online for diabetes reversal. I do have nurses from the Gambia that watch, that send me messages, that ask me questions, because I know they're in need of knowledge. But the system has to understand, how do we change, help these people that are in the system already to give them the quality that they need so they can provide the quality service that the patients need, that the government and the health system needs. You cannot expect any less if you're giving way less than is expected. That is a fact. So the educational system, from the nurses to the doctors to the educational system itself that are educating our kids, need help. And until people let go of the emotional needs and fights and all these stupid fights, inner fights, and realize that one less than quality that you deliver to your people, you should not expect any more of what you are delivering. So when they complain about the high school kids failing, you cannot only keep the blame solely on the kids, on the parents, but you have to revamp the whole system, from the kids themselves, what is required of them, from the parents, what is required of them to help their kids get educated, and how do those kids, parents, hold the whole system accountable. You cannot hold the system accountable when you yourself do not hold yourself accountable and do not value quality. We always value the bare minimum. We always compare ourselves to the least of the comparable. When you look at the person that was speaking yesterday on Kirfatu, what she was comparing herself or the Gambia to is the other countries or the developed countries having these type of issues. Back in 2011, there was a 60-minute documentary that was done on drugs, how the Indian market was trying to transport drugs into the US, where even one medication called warfarin, which is a blood thinner, managed to kill at least 3 people. But as a responsible nurse at that dialysis center, she came out and spoke. The minute she saw 2 of her patients encounter issues, she knew there had to be something in common with these people that she had delivered at that system. But this is someone that was knowledgeable enough, that was aware enough to keep an eye on such things. But when that nurse is not educated enough to look for side effects, when that nurse is not paid enough to even care enough about what she's doing, guess what? She is not going to pay attention to the issues that arise with her patients.
Dr. J, Dr. J,
Yes.
did you say there were 2 deaths and the nurse alerted whoever it was with regards to these deaths that was occurring? Dr. J, I want to refer you again to the president's speech, where the president mentioned that there was a rapid response within the Gambia, and this was after 66 deaths. What do you take? What do you make of this?
This is when you compare 2 people with responsibility and accountability and empathy. When a nurse takes care of 2 people and finds that these people die, immediately she alerted her boss, who alerted the system, and an investigation was immediately launched. And out of that warfarin incident, which was also from China because they had put in a substance that was detrimental to these people, and they made it. It was a fake drug. They made it very similar. That nurse immediately alerted the system, and an investigation was launched. And as soon as they could find out, and everything was stopped, and there was a national campaign, and everyone was alerted to stop using that particular warfarin, which is Coumadin. Now you compare that nurse, who is just a mere nurse working in a dialysis center, to President Adama Barrow, because this nurse, number one, has empathy, has responsibility, takes accountability for everything that she delivers to her patients. But then you have a president that does not hold himself accountable for whatsoever that happens to the country. This is not about politics. It's about empathy and caring for the people that you are supposed to care for, caring for the leadership that you were given. Okay? So this president, number one, does not have the knowledge. I don't think there is a connection between the brain cells and empathy, because that is supposed to be embedded in the person before you become a leader. When you talk about Adama Barrow, when his son died, did you guys go back and listen to the video how he stated that incident when his son died before him become, during that mic pass or whatever you called it? Do you guys remember that statement? That speaks very highly of that person, who they are as a person and their character. So when that person does not have an empathy for their own kid, how do you expect that president to have an empathy for the rest of the nation? That's my question. And this is very important. When we select leaders, you do not stop at the moment they come to speak to you because they want that leadership. You have to go back in history and dig down and find out how this person's subconscious mind behaves. And then when you see that, now when they become a president, you can correlate the two. But do not expect any more where there is nothing. He does not have it. He does not feel it. He's not going to leave it. I don't care how much we yell and cry. Adama Barrow, President Adama Barrow, is not going to have the same empathy that you and I have to care enough. So it's up to the Gambian people to realize who they have put in office. It is already done, but they have to learn from what they have done, so these same things do not happen again. And I'm sorry, I'm speaking too much. Madam Sar said something earlier when she said, or it wasn't Bensouda maybe, that said that, where are our opposition leaders? You know, when you have opposition leaders in a country, they should not only speak before elections. They're supposed to also be part of that system to safeguard the system. Just because you're not president, that does not mean you're not supposed to be a leader. There were people that voted for you as well. And it is their responsibility as well to come and join hands to safeguard, not necessarily go be with Adama Barrow's political party, but be there for the people when these things arise, when questions are there. When my sister called me about this incident, those same leaders should have been alerting and going on social media, wherever platforms they are allowed, to speak about kids dying from acute kidney injury. When I have two patients that come in and they both die the same time, I am going to look into what do these people have in common. It's not very hard to find out what is the cause of death when you have more than one person dying in your system. All you have to do is look at what do they have in common. And it's not very difficult. It does not require neuroscientists or brain surgery. It requires a little bit of common sense. That's all it needs. A critical thinking, which we do not have in our society. And Melvin, it is unfortunate that we are in this system, but our educational system, from the way we educate our kids, from the way we have to allow the kids to critically think and not become computer programmed brains, meaning you have to question, you have to see what is given to you. Why is it given to you? You just don't accept whatever was said to you just because. You have to do your due diligence and go and read and investigate. Do not accept the bare minimum. Just because you were not taught in nursing school or in medical school does not mean that at the end of that education, that's where you stop. You continue to research, you continue to read. I was not given all this knowledge from school. I went on to educate myself. When I hear something that does not make sense to me, I investigate, I read. You don't just stay on social media. And that's what makes me mad so much. Social media, people will sit and listen to nonsense. But the minute you come to say anything that is knowledgeable, you would have 5 people that will be listening. And at the end of the day, they will call you an educator. But then when there is a problem, we are the same people that will come back on social media screaming, yelling, and fighting. That is not who we should be as a society. If we're going to fight the president and complain about what he's doing, we have to start with ourselves, within ourselves, and see what can we do to change. What do I need to do for me to be a better person so I can contribute better results in my community? Because that's where it needs to start, Melvin. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Faith.
Yes, Melvin. I've listened to Dr. J, and she's highlighted a few points that are very interesting. When I look at Gambia from outside, basically, the whole country is in a rut. We have to have a massive upheaval, not just in the health sector. There are certain things that guide you as a person on a daily living, and that is within yourself and knowing yourself what you want to leave behind, your legacy. And by that, you're guided and you know that this is what I want to do. And if Gambians emulate such, I think we'll be a better nation. I remember when I was younger, and I'm coming, and these are fundamental issues that I think we should retain within our country. When I was younger, I dare not go out in Banjul and just loitering along in the street without somebody giving me a severe beating to say, what are you doing out there? You should be at home, behaving yourself or studying or things like that. Nowadays, you go out, midnight, you will see a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old loitering, and you're wondering, where are the parents? Where are the parents of these children? Why are these young children out in the street? The parents have forgotten. They've just delivered these babies, and these children are just growing like wild grasses without even being straightened up so that they become a responsible citizen tomorrow. Now, they get educated. If your family, your parents are not involved in your education, because it's from grassroots level, your foundation matters. If you do not have a strong foundation, you're not going to be a responsible citizen, irrespective of how much resources they pour into you, because that foundation is already rotten. So therefore, where we have to come into, I'll just tell you, you never know, nobody knew this. When I got married to my husband, Habib, and I converted to Islam, and I went to King Fahad Mosque, 2 o'clock, and I went to pray. I was sitting there looking, watching, I'm observing, because I observe everything, because I have to give my critical analysis of everything. And I was sitting, I watched, and I thought, hang on a minute, where the young females? Because I was in downstairs with the males, so I couldn't assess it. Where the young females? All I could see were elderly women with little children. Anyway, the imam came and I heard them say, because I don't understand, so I was just going through the movement. Within 10 minutes, everybody was going outside. And I thought, hang on a minute. Hang on. There is something fundamental wrong about this. I think the imam should spend more time after praying, preaching to the people about our daily lives to make us better people. He must drum till they understand it. We went home, I told my husband, I said, you know what? When I went to church, we'll be there 1.5 hours, 3 hours, up and down. The priest will come up there telling you, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. That it becomes a song in your ear. Why don't you think I should go and see Imam Ratib and tell him that I think this is what he should do so that we have a better Gambia? You have the religious aspect. It's not just taking your 5 minutes to do your Fatiha and you get up and go. There are thoughts that have to be implicated or implemented. The parents also have a responsibility vis-a-vis childcare and how your child is going to develop. We also have the responsibility of the teachers. When a child comes to you, you are a parent. You have to educate those children because they've come to you. If you see they have to be disciplined, you must inform the parents. But now everybody is running riots. You say something, they're ready to insult you. And that's why I avoid social media. This is the first time I've done live, and it's because of you, Melvin. If not, I wouldn't do it. Because I'm not having people coming to insult me. And, you know, I get really affected because I'm very sensitive. Because I'm not that type of person. I know how I conduct my life. I know how I love my people. But there's one thing with Dr. J said about the educational aspect of the nurses, whether they are mass products. They produce more nurses than doctors in the Gambia. I observe them in the street, dress code, wrong, shoes, dusty, infection control. All of these things are going through my head. You speak to them, English is poor, pronunciation is bad. They will pronounce some drug to you and you think it's something else. And yet they're trying to say something to you. And it all comes down to their education at school. The teacher who taught them cannot pronounce, so these children cannot pronounce. So therefore, communication errors. Now, if you're speaking to your doctor, which you have to report to, you're having barriers, communicational error. How will the doctor understand to go and treat that patient? Wrong. So in a nutshell, we have a major issue in the Gambia. It's like the spaghetti junction. Intertwined spaghetti of errors. How do you unravel all these spaghetti and lay them down singly? How many years will it take? And so therefore, capital investment is needed. Capital investment. A lot of these foreign teachers who are coming from Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Lala, I've met them in Mrs. Now's school. I went there, I attack you, because if I see you that you're not doing, I would tell you, listen, you are of substandard nature. And I was speaking to this teacher, she was speaking her English, I listened to her. And I said to her, where are you from? She said to me, Ghana. I said, but you're teaching children, you cannot even speak English. I said, how do you expect those children to speak proper English? I said, what's your qualification? She must have looked at me and thought, what stone does this one crawled out of? But it's not that. I'm looking at future leaders.
But Faith.
And if we don't invest in those future leaders, this is my education I'm coming. It's not the nurses. It starts from school and it continues on.
But
Melvin,
Faith.
When I listen to your English, listen to me. When I listen to your English, I knew you long before you were doing this. And I've always respected you and I've always complimented you and said, Melvin, you are good. Pursue. I'm not jealous of you. You understand? When I was in the Gambia, it's not because of Britain. That's why I speak English like this. No, it's because of Gambia. Gambia at that time invested in me. I had Mrs. Cole who was teaching me oral English.
This is the point. This is the point I want to make, Faith. You're saying something very, very important. You're talking about the system. You're talking about the system. You're talking about what happens. You're talking about the retention of teachers, quality teachers. Yes. Now, Faith, go back to the government's positioning on what to me is a tragedy. And the government through the Minister of Health, who, as we are speaking, are also doing a press. They were doing a press. The Minister of Health was doing a press conference.
Voice out to digital.
And in that press conference, it was mentioned that it was only one licensed operator, or I don't know how they call them, licensed. It's because in Gambia they give license not even to pharmacists or somebody who's a pharmacologist, but a licensed operator, somebody who was licensed to import medication into the country. That they are now saying it's only one licensed operator that was actually dealing with the Indian company. Faith, I don't know if you're seeing, or I don't know if the panel, Mrs. Bensouda and Dr. J, you are making my point clearly. This is the government. After 66, and Dr. Samate has now said that the numbers have jumped. So it's now the numbers now stand at 69. But we have unconfirmed reports that there are hundreds of dead bodies at the morgue, at the mortuary. There are unconfirmed reports that so many kids have died, that are not being reflected in the official government statistics that we have. And this government is now taking a position whereby they are downplaying the gravity and seriousness of what's going on by saying that it is only one licensed operator that was dealing with this Indian company. Hang on, I am looking at it from a different perspective.
Me too.
I'm saying to myself, yes, there is only one licensed operator that is dealing with this company, but this licensed operator, in bringing these medications, actually followed a legal channel, a legal pathway. Where was the medicine control?
Supposedly follow a legal channel. Supposedly.
No. Well, that's what I'm saying. Where are the systems in play? Be it 1, be it 2, be it 3, the medication was imported. The medication was flooded into the Gambian market. Where are the regulatory bodies?
If I
So
may
the buck comes back to government. So regardless, it was only one licensed operator. Government was supposed to ensure that even if it is one licensed operator, that every medication that comes into the country, every medication that would be pumped into the Gambian market should be of a certain standard, should be of a certain quality, should pass control checks, should pass medicinal check, and should be checked by all government institutions that are vested with the powers of regulation. So the argument of saying it is only one licensed operator is one licensed operator too many, especially where you have heard over 69 innocent kids dying because they have taken these medications from this one licensed operator that dealt with an Indian company that has no history of importing these medications to other countries.
I doubt it. I doubt that there is one license. I doubt it.
So, Dr. J,
if it was me, I was government, I would have just hauled that man, whoever it is. I would arrest him straight away into mile 2, start talking. Start talking. Tell me what went on. Who did you give these medications to? Are you the only one? Whistle blow if there's somebody else.
No, Faith, I'm not sure. Faith, you've missed the point I'm trying to make.
No, what are you saying? One person. But if you catch somebody, that one person.
No, the point I'm trying to make is. No. The point I'm trying to make is sacking the person, firing the person, arresting the person is after the fact. The point I'm trying to make is you issue license to a particular individual. However, when that particular individual is importing medication, the regulatory body, the regulatory pathway, the regulatory mechanisms that should be put in place is not managed by that license holder. It is managed by the government of the Gambia.
We don't have it. We don't have it. It's not functioning.
Dr. J, come in, please.
May I help you out? What you're saying here is very valuable. To even blame the licensed person that's importing the drug, to me,
Joe, can you focus on Dr. J so we can see Dr. J clearly? Please, thanks.
So to me, just even blaming the person who imported, the licensed person who imported the medicines themselves, to me is not even the issue here. The issue at hand is that you have a country called the Gambia and a body that's supposed to be the ones to make sure that medications that are entering the country are of quality and not toxic or poisonous to the people that are going to ingest it. When I listened to the lady, I can't remember her name, but she's part of the body that was speaking yesterday at Kirfatu. What she said, the excuses, I should say, that she gave is that they do not have the resources, the manpower, the equipment necessary to make sure that these medications are of safe standards. Okay? So if that's the case, we as a people cannot even blame the person with the license to import the drugs. The government of the Gambia should be held accountable for these things, because if you have a
Thank
government
you.
and you are supposed to be the ones to safeguard the people of that country, and you cannot even provide the necessary means to make sure these drugs entering the country or products entering the country are safe, then the person that is the licensed person is just a scapegoat in this sense if that person is arrested. Okay. The reason why the government of India came out and gave out that statement, it's because it is a fact that the country, any country, should be held responsible for the products they import into their country. But any country of ethical nature should make sure the companies that are in their countries should also be operating legally. So they're just trying to deviate from the fact that there can be a legal issue going after the government of India, and they know the WHO will come after them, as a matter of fact, including the US and every other country. Because guess what? I told you, in 2011, there was a 60-minute documentary that was done about some Indian companies that were making fake drugs with Pfizer. They would make a drug and label it as a Pfizer medication, but the companies were fake. And the base of their medications, like antibiotics, was chalk that we used to write on a board. I have been following things like this for years. Okay, so now even in the Gambia, I remember when my dad was sick and was in the hospital, they were supposed to give him a 750 milligrams worth of a drug, but the doctor only prescribed 250, which was not even 1/3 of the desired dosage. And I fought tooth and nail to make sure it was increased. I even did something and told them to go buy medication from a pharmacy, come give it to my dad behind the scenes, so I know he would not go into sepsis. Okay? The reason my dad did not die is because he is lucky enough to have two daughters who are doctors in the US. And we intervene every single day, every single minute. If that was an irregular person, he would have died. That's a fact. So the medications that people are taking, it's not just this medicine. If a dose of a medication is less than the required dose to treat, then it's no good. It's as good as not giving that person any medication. So it's not just having a toxic agent in a drug, but it's also underdosing. And what they found in that 60 minutes documentary is that some of these medications, to make it cheap for the third world countries to consume, they would take more of a chalk and put it in an antibiotics than the required dosage. And this is not just for medication. I remember years ago, I went to Dubai, and they will ask you, if you are buying even a pipe, they will ask you, where are you? Because of my accent, they ask me, are you taking this to the US? Because then this is the quality you need. If you're taking it to Africa, this is what you need, because it was cheaper. You go to China, it's the same thing. It's from even the materials that we put in our buildings. They will give you a cheaper quality, because the business people from Africa, when they go to these countries, they seek the cheapest. And guess what? The manufacturers know Africans consume a lot. So therefore, they would make products that are very cheap. So these consumers would not have any idea, but the manufacturers knows, the business person knows, so they will go and buy the cheap products and take it to Africa, and you use it in a day or two and it's gone. So it's from the medical sector to the building company to the cars, even cars. If you go to Europe, you buy a car from here in the US and take it. You buy exactly the same Toyota from the US and take it to Gambia, and someone else buys the same Toyota from Dubai or China, it is going to be of different quality. You go to the Gambia, you would see Toyotas that are totally different, or Nissans that are totally different from the Nissans that are sold in the US. the brands that you see would not even exist because they will test and after test and after test. So when you see these road accidents happening and people dying, it's not just because of reckless drivers, but because those cars do not have the safety mechanism in place that is required to protect the passengers and the driver. So when we're talking about quality in medicine, it's not just medicine. It's everything in our system as Africans. You cannot expect for other people to value you when you yourself do not know your worth. I cannot sit here
Really,
and value and expect
really.
Melvin to value Dr. J when Dr. J does not know who she is, what she is, why she is created, why is she here on earth. So that is why the Indian government can have the audacity to give that statement, because they know we Gambians would be the only ones to accept such medication into our system, because we do not even have the system in place to do the checks and balances necessary to make sure the licensed persons importing the products is going to be abiding by the quality that is required, because the quality that is required, the checks and balances are not in place. Because when that lady speak again, she said, Kirfatu Fatu, who I salute for what she did, she asked her, I heard there is nepotism or some other legal terminology. I can't remember exactly. Melvin, you can speak of it, meaning like if you are part of a system and you are also importing, you're supposed to be doing the checks and balances, and you are also importing the medications. Are you going to make sure the medication that are being imported are checked appropriately? Well,
Yeah,
some of
the
these agents,
a conflict of interest.
conflict of interest. Thank you. So she said, and I was laughing so hard. I said, what an idiot. I'm sorry for my French. How can you expect? How can you expect to tell me, yes, those people are part of these licensed professionals or persons to import, but what we do to make sure there is no conflict of interest is, for example, if Melvin is importing the product, Dr. J will be the one to check the checks and balances. We know that is not going to happen. So you cannot have a system that does not understand what it means to have conflict of interest or have to safeguard conflict of interest, and how to even make sure the policies that are in place have the materials needed and the equipments needed to test these drugs, and yet still this person that is the one importing the drugs should not be put in jail. If anyone should go to jail, it's the whole system of the Gambia, meaning ourselves as well, because we should be held accountable for every government that is in place. Everyone that voted for this government should be held accountable for what they have done. Everyone that was part of this barrel regime should be held accountable, because when you know someone is incompetent, someone does not have the capacity to babysit your child, someone that is a drunkard, that is an addict, you give them your child in this US. When they come, guess what? It is not the babysitter that is going to be in trouble. It is you, the parent, who should know better to know how to safeguard your child. So us Gambians should be responsible for every single problem that we have witnessed and watched. And there are so many hypocrites in our country. And that is a sad fact. From the journalism country, from the politicians, every single person in our country should be held responsible, including myself for that matter. Thank you.
Mrs. Bensouda,
Yes.
She's been quiet.
you have been quiet, and that's because the reason is deliberate. I've allowed you because I know you were getting very emotional when you were speaking the last time. But Mrs. Bensouda, you're a very key player on social media. You're doing a lot of work and a lot of good work, and I commend you. Let me just welcome our dearest Nene Frida Gomez. Nene, it's her birthday today, so Nene, happy birthday. You look good.
Happy
You're playing the
birthday.
part.
Yes, happy birthday, Sister Nena.
You're playing the part. You're showing us it's your birthday. Well dressed. I love the hairstyle. Thank you for joining us and thank you for coming on board. So back to Mrs. Bensouda. You know what is going to happen? Um, okay, for example, I'll tell you my observations. When I usually do issues and talk about things, of course, most of the time it's about legal matters, and that's the hottest gossip, the hottest topic in town. I mean, by this time, everybody watching would share because they want their friends to see what's going on. They want to know the latest gossip. They want to know what's happening, and people would be tagging people. But now we're talking about a very sensitive issue. We're talking about a pop up. I don't even know what's the terminology to describe what's happening. But people are not sharing this video. People are not tagging these people because it is not the usual stuff. So the average Gambian prides themselves in gossips. The average Gambian pride themselves in things. For example, if we were cussing each other on this platform, we would have had like 1,000 shares. So this goes back to what Dr. J said about character. It goes back to our values as a people. It goes back to our value as a country. What is it that we value? What is it that we pride ourselves in? What attracts us? What is it that tickles our fancy? What is it that, juggles and pushes our imagination? Is it the important things of life? Is it things that would educate, things that would save, things that is geared up towards correcting a system? Or is it just things that are the everyday social issues that are about, little gossips here and there, little fights here and there, people insulting each other, people disparaging themselves on social media? As far as I'm concerned, this is one of the most educative, this is one of the most interesting, this is one of the most public interest issue that I have been part of, that I am sitting in a panel with phenomenal women, phenomenal ladies of character, ladies that have got, immense knowledge, skill, experience, and they're talking about what they know. And yet still you could find that that most people would not pride themselves in this. Most people would want to go and watch something that's of a gossip. The second point I wanted to make is that people are going to definitely give an interpretation. They're going to give a title. They're going to give a theme. They're going to find a text for this program and say that it's a political platform. We're here to attack the government. We're here. We are anti-Barrow. We are anti-NPP. But no. I am not anti-Barrow. I am not anti-NPP. I am anti anything that is not good for the country. I am anti anything that is not right for the Gambia. I am anti any pronouncement that does not show leadership that has empathy, does not reflect a leader that is connecting with its people. You have a people in mourning. You have a nation in mourning. You have a country in mourning. I expected a leader that would come and speak from the heart. I don't care who wrote that speech. I don't care who was behind the speech, whether it was the technocrats at the Ministry of Health or not. I expected a father to come out and speak to Gambia. I expected a person of empathy to come out and connect to the parents that have lost their life through this senseless death. I expected a leadership. I expected a person that would come, that would cry, that would share and feel the pain that every Gambian parent was feeling that have lost a life in this a menace that I call that we have in this society. That was what I expected, and that is what I'm against. Yes, you can call me anti-Barrow, you can call me anti-NPP. It does not matter, because what we are here for, we're here to speak truth. We're here to sensitize. We're here to impart knowledge. We're here to brainstorm and let people know that indeed we care as Gambians, and we have a vision. We have an objective and we have a goal of a Gambia that we want to see. Mrs. Bensouda, your take on this?
Thank you. So I'm going to just do a surgical deep dive and just call out what it is. I feel like we have a problem with herd mentality in Gambia. Okay? We just follow things. We don't use our brains or critical think, question, challenge, which most times when you do or call people out, it comes across as an attack, because we are not differentiating between challenging a thought, challenging a argument, or challenging a subject or topic. We see an attack. If anybody questions what I say, I see it as an attack, rather than having a conversation where I either learn something or I educate you. This is not a political platform, absolutely not. It's not against Barrow, but because he is the president, That's why we are calling him out. If you, Melvin, were sitting there in the chair, we will be talking about you. Another thing I see is we are more prone and attracted to sensationalized topics, so to speak, when it comes to tearing each other down, airing our dirty laundries out, this pecking order that we have become experts in, putting each other down. That's you will have thousands of views. But, you know, I'd rather have 5 views with objective, intelligent, tangible people than just something that people tune in to watch. It's almost become entertainment. And I think we should go back to the books and nurture our children and teach them about self-confidence. It's very important. If you know who you are, if you believe in yourself, no matter how long it takes, the truth always prevails. You'll come out on top. You will come out shining. But like you rightly mentioned, if it's sensationalized, if there's, you know, the sagantendaje and all that stuff, call each other out and break each other down, absolutely. I mean, you'll see hundreds, if not thousands of views. But I think this is not going to spare my family or anybody else's. This is very important because it could have been my child, my grandchild, my brothers, or my neighbors. And so we don't even know the level it has affected the Gambia and Gambians. We only know about the numbers they're throwing out at us. I truly believe that these deaths are in the hundreds. And I just want to implore everybody who's listening here or may listen later on, if we can just take a moment and stand in a place of compassion and empathy, and let's just close our eyes and just imagine 66 to 69 dead children laying in front of us because of negligence, something that could have been avoided, something, you know, that's inexcusable. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't happen in any civilized world. We are, by God, we're in 2022. I say this all the time. And, you know, again, it's just that elections have consequences. You know, people we put into power, you know, people we choose to be our leaders. And at the same time, even we see them doing wrong, we still empower and encourage certain behaviors. I think we should really go back and look in the mirror, all of us, and really ask ourselves, is this the country that we want? Is this where we want to be? Do we want to have these kind of conversations? Do we want to see our children dying and we sit here on a panel and talk about it? Again, actions, reaction. Mostly we're not proactive, but we are reactionary. If things happen, then we talk. Like they you know, my co-panelists have mentioned here, where's the checks and balances? Like we have here the Food and Drug Administration. And thank you, Dr. J, for bringing up that warfarin thing. To share a personal experience, is like 2011, around that time exactly, I was sick. I had blood clots in my lungs, and I was taking anticoagulants, and I was taking warfarin. But guess what? I was contacted immediately by my doctor to stop taking the medication. And if I needed to or wanted to seek redress, I could. Even though the doctors did not do anything wrong, but the doctor that prescribed it to me could have gotten in trouble. I mean, people don't get their license revoked. There's no consequences. And I feel like it's one after the other, one after the other. You talk about this week, we're talking about the 66. I pray not, to God not, but next week there may be something else. It's like I can't keep up with all of the horrible and horrific stories that are coming from the Gambia. And it's time for action. We cannot just sit around and wait for the politicians, all politicians, to come back and, you know, gaslight us, and then we put them into power and they ignore us for the next few years. And then anytime, anything in between, we have to figure it out. We have to just kind of like, you know, you know, some people might not be watching because Amy Bensouda is on the panel. Some people might not be watching because, oh, Dr. Jail. But if it was some Sagante and Daje, trust me, it will be thousands viewing, you know. If it was a Hassan Tendaje, it will be thousands viewing, you know. So really, we have to check ourselves again and understand and encourage our kids, especially the young kids, to think critically, to not just take things because somebody said it, analyze it, research, dissect it, and make it your own, and find what is valuable in that and take away from that, rather than just beating each other down and sensationalizing all of this stuff. It's really non-beneficial. Today we have 66 children, as far as I know, that lost their lives. There's no excuse for this. None.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Bentura. Nene Frida. Nene, you're just joining us. Nene, I saw yesterday that you were at the Westfield Monument, lighting up candles in memory of these babies that have lost their lives. But I just want you to run us down. You're in Gambia. You're the only panelist in the Gambia. You have a feel of what's going on in the country. I know you did mention on your Facebook page that you couldn't even celebrate your birthday today because you were in a very somber mood, because you know how it feels like just interacting and seeing firsthand what's going on in the country. So tell us, Nene, tell us what is your take, tell us how you feel, tell us what is the mood back home in the Gambia, and tell us what you make of the statement coming from the government with regards to these issues that's going on.
Thank you very much, Melvin. I greet all of you phenomenal, fabulous, beautiful ladies. I feel so humbled. I feel so elated to join a platform with all of you. Dr. J, Faith, and Ami, greetings to you. And Melvin, greetings to you too. Like I said, you're so right. It's a bittersweet for me. Everybody knows that I so love birthdays. I celebrate my birthday 2 weeks or a week before the birthday comes. That's how excited I get when it comes to birthday. Everybody's birthday in my house. I have so many kids in the house. We celebrate each one of them. But this time, something just tells me I feel so guilty, so bad to be in a very joyous mood, celebratory mood, when we have all these kids who have, I could continuously keep on saying that they were murdered. I refuse to say they died. I believe they were killed. I believe out of negligence, out of competence, out of carelessness, these beautiful souls lost their lives. That's what I believe, and nobody is going to change that. So you be in the Gambia and you see that the laissez-faire attitude, the lackadaisical attitude of people because they don't know who died or it's not their family members. So business is just as usual. Nothing is happening in the Gambia. So we were talking amongst us, Thursday evening to Thursday night and say, look at what is happening. 66 kids died. Even though since July, this ministry was lying to us, was sugarcoating, was manipulating and telling us different stories when they could have been proactive, and then just maybe 66 wouldn't have been the figure, right? But they did not do that. It was the same period. This started in July, but somehow, some way, a flight was chartered. A huge delegation went to a UN General Assembly. When a problem as big as this was left in the Gambia unattended, it had to take the WHO to raise the alarm and say, hey, something has to be done because this is very, very serious. If not, all the children in the Gambia are going to be pronounced dead. And they did the lab test and or whatsoever to come out and tell us, oh, in fact, it's not paracetamol syrup, as the ministry was telling us, and it's not 28. In fact, at this point in time, it's 66. But mind you, for me, I believe that the figure is way more than 66 because that number was given to the WHO by the ministry. I saw a victim, a parent of one of the children that died, who told us that when he went to the mortuary to collect her baby girl, he could count at least, and he used the word at least 80 80 dead bodies, cops in the mortuary at a time. And we are not counting about the people that have picked theirs prior to him going, and not the ones that have picked after he had picked his. So you see the consistent attitude of the ministry and the officials lying to the citizenry instead of tackling the issues and be honest with us, be transparent with us, so that we can all together tackle these issues as a nation, as sovereign citizens. But they keep on lying to us. When are we going to say enough is enough? Now, I was on the brunch today with the director of medical health services, or whatever his portfolio is, Dr. Mustafa Bite. To my dismay, the guy agreed that, yes, we don't have labs to test medication when they come into this country. Well, they have a lab, but then they can only test few, and even those tests are not accurate. This is him saying it with confidence. Wow. Like, it's okay. So you wonder, how many medicines are in pharmacies in circulation that people are taking? People are developing issues and complications after taking medication, and nobody is able to know what their issues are. You go to hospital 5 years, 10 years with one issue, one complication, and they're not able to cure you until you take your last breath, because medications are being administered on patients, and they are not tested. You don't know what the side effects are. You don't know the complications it may develop on patients. Who are we as a nation? And we say we have a whole ministry with a minister who we are paying every month without fail. And we sit here and act as citizens, like nothing is happening. All is well. All is not well, my people. All is not well in this country. And that is okay. I told him this morning that, okay, you guys are going to houses, people housing, saying you are picking up all these syrups to confiscate it and all that. Well, the syrups don't find its way into people's houses because it crawls or it flies. Medication is imported into the country through our ports or through air freights or whatever it may be. It's not checked. It finds its way in the warehouses. It finds its way in the pharmacies, and doctors prescribe it. You know, the citizenry go and buy it before they put it in their house. Why don't you start from the point of entry, not in people's houses? People have small bottles that may not even kill anybody else. But you go to where it comes in before you go to the warehouses to the pharmacy. I'm not even going to get into the pharmacy licensing thing or whatever, because it's a complete mess. The people who are the authorities at the board, pharmacy board and medical council or whatever, all those people have their own pharmacies in town. And those are the people that are supposed to regulate the licensing and retailing and wholesale or whatever. How can that work? How can that be okay? Now the director of health is telling us, oh, they have just written a letter to these people to alert them that it's conflict of interest if they own pharmacies. Are we serious? Really? Just a letter to them. These are regulators. Like, I was sitting there, if you look at my face, I was like, oh, no, that's not what you're telling me. Oh, please don't tell me I'm hearing it right. Really, the director of medical services. So this is the situation in this country. If people think we have a country, no. We have a bigger mortuary than the one at their house. We need to be serious. Now, 66 has been announced by a reputable organization, the WHO, which I believe we all are going to believe that it's credible. 66 children. I have not heard anything from the Child Protective Alliance, either by statement or anything in regards to the plight of these children that have died. I have not heard anything from the Ministry of Gender and Children's Welfare in regards to the women that are the mothers of these children, and of course the children. Nothing at all. I have not heard anything from the Women's Bureau. You all have talked about the CSOs, the political leaders, the opposition leaders. You know what? Those people are in hibernation for now because it's not election. Their own understanding of politics is when election is nearing, you go around blowing the hottest air to try to confuse people to vote for you when you know what you're saying is not from the heart. That's their job. That's what they believe what politics is. That's what they believe is opposition is. So let's not even bother talking about those ones because they ain't going to do anything else at all. So what are we doing with all these people? Again, something I've realized is we have lack of vigilance by the citizenry. We do a lot. People don't hold people to account. Right now, if you have your relative as one of those people in the authorities or the board or the ministry, you don't want to talk about it, despite lives have been lost. It's just unheard of. You know, since yesterday night, anybody that tells me Nene happy birthday ma joy, kumane happy birthday ma joy, mangi am nahar melnike, I don't understand, because I'm asking myself, who are we as a country? When are we gonna wake up and roll our sleeves and say enough is enough? Are we waiting until it knocks our doors? Is that what we're going to do? And we sit and talk about all other issues that are really not important and not relevant and not value adding, but the real issues. Now you have the president put the last nail on the coffin to come and tell us, guys, you guys are just shouting. What are you talking about? People have been dying. Maternal mortality, you know, it's still bad. And 66 is such a small number for you guys to shout. So give us a break. For me, that's what I take out of that speech. Nothing else. It was so remorseless. It was so careless. It was so heartless. It was so tasteless. For me, the president, yet again, not the first time, has picked bottom low. It's us, the citizens. When they say the government is not serious, I say we as citizens, we are not serious, because we still haven't smelled the coffee to get up and say, we are power. We are the power. And when you don't do what we do, because we pay you, we feed you, we maintain you, all of them were done you yakar be pare nga yak ñu te Gambia bi fu mu nekk lolo fi xew ñoo leen di defal dañ ñu yakar be pare yak ñu be pare ñun ñu nangu ko. It's despicable. Honestly, I don't have words to describe this smell. I am so angry.
Is it safe? Is it safe to say that the economic principle of demand and supply is what we are seeing being reflected, being translated in the Gambia? Because the leadership we have is a reflection of the people, and what the leadership is giving, like you said, that the opposition is in hibernation, but they will come out of hibernation during election period. This is because this is what the people have accepted. It's what you call in America the politics of carrot and sticks. So in Gambia, it's a politics of Benachin, it's a politics of pot, it's a politics of brand envelopes. That is what is prevalent in the country. So the leaders are just actually playing to the dynamics of the expectations of the average citizen, because people don't care about their well-being. People don't care about the future. People don't care about what happens tomorrow. What they care about is the here and now. This is how the average Gambians operate. This is how the average Gambian psyche revolves around, because people think about what they can have now. If you look at what is happening with the licensings, with these people that are operators that have been granted license, they are not using their license. They've all rented it out to other people, mostly non-Gambians. They are not looking at the greater ramifications of their actions. What they're looking at is what they're gaining, what they stand to get now, here and now. And they don't care if the license or something would happen and it would be detrimental and that license will be forfeited. No, what they're thinking about is today. I have spoken to people in government who know that some of the policies that they embark on, some of the policies that they roll out are not fit for purpose. They know it is not what the average Gambian wants. They know it is not what is good for the average Gambian. But when you speak to them, they say, oh, we're doing this because we don't know when we're going to leave office. They think about now. They think about today. This is the average Gambian for you. We're talking about this thing today. You are saying in the Gambia, people are going out. It's like business as usual. On social media, we're advocating, we're talking, but the average Gambians that you're advocating for, the people who are in direct path to what is happening, don't care. They don't give a hoot as to what is going on. And yes, you will talk. In about a week, nobody will talk about this death. And this is what the government knows. The government knows that we are short-sighted people. The government knows that we are people of a moment. and they know that they can play on our gullibility. They know they can play on our naiveness as a people. And this is what is happening. So it is not about the government. It is about the government is a reflection of who we are as a society. What are our expectations? What do we want? What do we value? Are we a people of character, like Dr. J said? What are we doing? For example, you have said you've gone. I saw the numbers that were there lighting candles. How many parents of the people that have died were actually there to light candles? Yes, you've lit the candles. You said what you're going to say. It was broadcasted on social media. No print media in the Gambia showcase what was happening. If you look at the headlines, nobody is talking about 66 deaths of children in a particular nation should be a call for national mourning. People should be in mourning. Flags should be flying at half mast. The government should be in a somber mood, because it is a devastating and excruciatingly painful moment for a country. But this is a country that is short-sighted. This is a people that don't care about what happens tomorrow. They don't care about the legacy that they leave for their children. They don't care about the environmental impact that what happens tomorrow. They don't care about what happens in the future. All they care about is the here and now. I have seen individuals where they were in opposition. They talked about the government. They criticized the government. They critiqued the government. Once they were given appointments, their mouths were shut. The same people that were talking about lavish spending of government resources could be seen flying to Dubai, flying abroad, flying on business class, enjoying holidays, sitting in jacuzzis, enjoying taxpayers' money. And these were the same individuals that critiqued the government. So we are not a people of value. We sway from day to day depending on the weather. We are worse than an unpredictable, like an English weather. And this is what happens.
Mel, you're so right about that. I mean, I cannot overemphasize what you've just said. See, you know, when you have people, when we talk, you know, Mel, I don't believe that marnan da flawara tahanan put it. I have seen people who don't have anything, but then they have character. Nyungi mandu. Te ken hamalu lenko. Kunyu wahut sen situation duin ko ham. You understand? For the people that are in position, that are entrusted with power, man, I believe them. When you sit until you are given an appointment to work in government, the civil service, the public service, and you say yes, at that moment, whatever you do should come from a place of service. Not whatever they're paying you, not the benefits, not the allowances. It has to come from a point of service. It has to be an assignment. Anybody, I don't care where it is coming from the president down. But that's what is lacking. And if you acknowledge and say that I am doing it because it's coming from a place of service, not because I'm being motivated and compromised, then you will realize if you're a person that has ethics, it will showcase. If you're a person that has principles, it will come out. If you're a person who has standards, it will surely showcase. And of course, you have to have empathy because you'll be dealing with people. When you're a teacher, you're dealing with children. When you're a doctor or a nurse or a whatever in a hospital, you'll be dealing with patients, vulnerable people. Because anybody that walks into the doors of a hospital, you need help. You are vulnerable at that point in time. You are helpless and you just need help. And I think what happens in this Gambia, we exploit people, we exploit patients. When they come, especially the illiterates, the people who cannot read and write, they're exploited. They are told to buy medicines that they don't need. And when you use 2 of on them, by the time they're being discharged, you collect the 25 that is left so that you can administer it on other patients and collect money from them. That is what is happening in this Gambia, in these hospitals. You go there, tell you don't have medication, and then you walk out to the next door opposite the hospital where the owner of the pharmacy is one of the doctors or the administrator of the hospital or a relative of people that work there that come and open a pharmacy right in front of the hospital. And these people that come from Kabada, they don't even have a place to sleep when they come to the Gambia. They're sleeping outside the hospital in the streets because they have sick people in the hospital. You ask them to take their last butut to buy medication. You use only one. The person dies, they pack their stuff and go back. The rest of the medication, you collect it with no shame, no remorse, and then collect money from the next person. How are we going to progress as a country? We lack character, we don't have integrity. We are so shameless, and people die, we don't feel it. It's all about money making. Mel, all of that they want ne barkele, mogen barile. Ñu barenge liggéey di make thousands te barkewut nekkut di leen njëriñ. Boo leen gisee nga yërëm leen waaye parce que salary boobu niñ ko aanee lewut salary boobu niñ ko aanee ànduta yàlla ànduti yàlla barkelu ko. So we need to look deep in ourselves. What is happening in this country is a reflection of our day-to-day engagements with our fellow people. It's sad, it's despicable, and we need to look deep. We need to have a conversation with ourselves and have a revisit. You understand? We need to redefine everything, our engagements, our relationships, our everything in life. Then we will see things begin to change. It's just too sad in this country.
Bilahi, thank you.
Brother
only the truth.
I have
only the truth.
A commitment that I'm going to leave.
Yes,
soon.
Dr. J. Yes, I know you have to go. So I'll just take your last words, and then we can let you go. We can take leave of you so you can get on with your engagement. But thank you so much for being here. It's phenomenal that we'll continue, and then we'll take it from where we stop next time. Carry on, Dr. J.
Thank you so much, Sister Nene, and happy birthday to you. And may you live 100 years and be in the society so you can continue to fight for the people that you love. I just want to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. J. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And I just want to thank all of you for being here. And it's a pleasure to be here with you all, but it's not a pleasure to be here because of why we are here. I wish we are living in a different society where people value humanity for the sake of humanity and not just seek wealth in the wrong ways. It's okay to work and earn money the right way, like Dana rightfully said. But what we fail to understand is why do we work so hard to earn so much that destroys the society that we love? If you have wealth, that wealth is supposed to help the people that are within the society, but not to destroy the people that are within the society. The few things that I would like to say, because every time there's a problem for me, when I come on to speak about it, is try to come up with a solution to such a problem. So like I said earlier, the symptoms that people should look out for, and please take note, and you can share with friends and family. When people are taking these medications and they are not sure, first of all, what they should do is take any syrup out of their house, any cough syrup that is within their household, or call their family and friends and tell them to take these syrups, either dump it in the toilets or the commodes, or take it to the nearest health center and let them get rid of it. Because you don't also want them to go into the system, the water system, and then pollute the water system, and then people continue to ingest it, because we don't know whether it was a full container or the quantity that had entered the country. So I would say hopefully the health system would know how to dispense of these medications once they receive it, and not go back and sell it again, because we do know how our system operates. So please, when you have these medications in your medication cabinets, take it to the right places, because these medications are deadly, are detrimental to our system. And the symptoms, again, first of all, the person may have headache, fatigue, and these are symptoms that are so common, because the reason why you're giving these kids the Tylenol or the acetaminophen or the promethazine or the Macof or whatever cough syrup it is because the child is already fatigued. The child may be experiencing nausea and vomiting. But remember, one of the symptoms, the early onset of this toxicity is nausea and vomiting. And the parents may think it's just because of the same illness, the reason why they seek to give that child promethazine. Promethazine is a nausea medication, meaning if the child is throwing up, vomiting, you give it to them so it can stop. Promethazine should not be given to a child that is less than 2 years old. But in the Gambia, I don't know if they have some of these stipulations on what medications to give to what kid, because it has not been tested and proven to be safe. That's one issue. So you have lack of coordination, because that is not common. Someone that has nausea and vomiting alone should not have, or a cold symptom such, should not have lack of coordination. Like, for example, in Wolof, manam melni ku mandi, wax sa lamiñ melni luy dotom. Those are not symptoms of a common cold. So when someone has these symptoms, please take them to the nearest health center, because these are symptoms that can come on as early as 30 minutes to 12 hours. Now, when that time frame passes, you're talking about a little bit longer, depending on how much they have ingested. This person may even have brain death, or they may have what you call convulsion. Manam ñu ne dafay daanu rab xale bi di mel ni kuy am crise. Those, by that time, these symptoms are already bad. Or the person may have something like shortness of breath, like they're trying to catch their breath. Manam ñu bëgg a nokki te mënuñoo nokki. The reason being is because when you have organ damage or organ failure, the system would not be able to excrete urine. That's why xale bi du mëna tee saw. Bu ko defee yaramam yi, tànkam yi, or loxoom yi di start di néewi. Okay, so when you see swelling, by then it's already late. So for the doctors and the nurses that are there, if you have these kids that come on board, there is antidotes that can be used. Okay, it's antizol that can be used as an antidote. Most medications has antidotes. Maanaam nit ki bu jëlee benn façon garab nga bëgg koo génnee si coono bi mu nekk, mun naa am beneen garab boo ko war a mun a jox. Antisol and ethanol would be the last. The first drug of choice is antisol. So the medical practitioners, please take note. And if the child comes on with AKI, meaning acute kidney injury, meaning borom munta génne saw, dem na, like every hour, a child should be able to produce, an adult should be able to produce 30 cc's of urine. Bu dee xale bi munta tooyal diaper, xale buy tooyal diaper sax warta jël garab boobu noonu. But when you look at our society, there is no criteria that tells these people how much of a medication or who should take it. So if the child is not able to pee, you should be able to take that child to the hospital. And when this child comes, they should be able to receive dialysis to reverse the kidney damage and even filter the blood so you can get rid of this toxin. And that can even go on further to make sure that the kidney damage is reversed. So dialysis can be continued as long as even 2 months. So for me, it's not just talking about the issue, but to give the knowledge that is necessary to the average Gambian to know the things to look out for. But once you have these things, also where to go and seek knowledge. But at the same time, the healthcare system should have the capacity to help these parents and do a campaign as much as possible. I, for one, tonight, I'm not going to go to sleep without making a short video, and I'll share with you guys. I would love, Melvin, if you don't mind, to share my number with the rest of the ladies here, because I would love to keep in touch so we can see what we can do for a better country. And there is another issue that happened recently that I want to touch on before I leave, is the fact that when electricity goes off, there are kids that just recently died also because the electricity went off, and these kids did not have the power necessary to sustain them whilst they were either on incubators or surgeries. There's a guy that also died recently because the electricity went off and the surgeons could not continue. So there are multiple issues that are happening in our country, and we all seem to have a blind eye at it and just take the back seat and not want to do anything. When people speak, it's not because we're criticizing. is because, like Sister Bensouda said, we want to have a dialogue that is educational, that is going to benefit the masses of the whole country. It's not about politics. You cannot have politics, you cannot have leadership if you don't have the people to lead. And a leader, please, you should be able to take responsibility and accountability and have empathy on the people that you are leading. On that note, I would just say thank you all for being here. And I thank you, Melvin, for allowing me to share this platform. It's always a pleasure to be able to share the little that I know with the people that I love the most. And I hope Gambia will be better, and I hope we would have better leaders. But we cannot have better leaders if the people are not better people. So we should all educate ourselves and take the responsibility for the leadership that we put in place, because it is our fault. It is our responsibility as Gambians. Like I always say, you cannot get an orange outside of a bag of mangoes. So the president that we have comes from Gambians. The criteria, the character that president has is exactly of the character of the average Gambian. So if we want a better Gambia, we ourselves must change our mindset. And thank you all once again. Kudos to you guys for what you do. And bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much, Dr. J. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Keep in touch. Thank you.
Faith,
Mel, do you want to talk to me? I want to highlight some points.
sure, you can go on.
When she was talking about antibiotics having chalk in it, remember she did mention this. Although we're talking about these deaths of these children that happen because of the imported drugs from India, people do not question a lot in the Gambia. In this world, there's 95% followers and 5% leaders. And people should open their brains and start thinking critically. I have observed in the Gambia, the people who have diabetes, type 2 diabetes, they die easily. And I keep asking why. Why should they die so quickly? Because they've got diabetes. Diabetes is not a death sentence if you manage your diabetes properly. I had somebody, a friend of mine, who came from Basori, and he told me, oh, I'm sick, I've got diabetes. And I asked him, where are your medications? Where do you get your medications from? He told me he got it from Brikama Health Center. When I looked at his diabetic medication, I realized that this man was busy drinking chalk. He was busy drinking chalk. And that's the reason why a lot of people with diabetes end up having kidney failures, because the sugar levels are not controlled effectively. So therefore, you have a long-lasting damage of gangrenous foot, the amputator, and then you have kidney issues, you've got eye issues, all the complications related to unmanaged diabetes. You have antibiotics. Somebody has a chest infection or a urinary tract infection, and you want to give them medication. You have amoxicillin you will buy from these half-baked pharmacies or people roaming about selling it. And inside, the color is red. Yes, that's the color. But inside those antibiotic capsules are chalk. And they all come from Nigeria. So many fake medicines are in the country that the authorities are not checking these medications and people are swallowing it. I don't like going through mortuaries because the amount of bodies that lie there is as if there's been a war. The amount of people died, they're just hauling them, one after another into the mortuary. Every day you see them channeling, digging graves, burying. But did somebody stop and say, what's going on here? Why are we having so many deaths? Irrespective of how poor you are, you're still a human being. Your life is valuable. If it's not valuable to me, but your family is valuable to your family. So we've got a systemic error. There are nobody who sits there questioning why. There's a lacking in why, so we haven't got answers. The people pushing for positions. You go into offices, they come to work late, they leave early. They're cheating the system. They are not being truthful to themselves. Do they do a proper day's work? A proper day's work to find out, did they earn their money? No. I've been into offices and I'm waiting for people, and I get hysterical. And when I face them, I tell them, hang on a minute. You gave me an appointment for this time. Why do I have to wait for you? You have to respect my human rights and my time. You know, and they start speaking, hi, bye, lolo, why, I'm the fee, Gambia, la, nila, la. What do you mean in Gambia? We're all educated. We have to respect values. And so therefore, there are not enough human resources that's been pumped into work. There are no values. There are corruption. You go and get your passport. You have to do a duko underneath before they will give you a passport. Look at this sniper issue. These people that contaminated the fishes, people ate it. Fine if they didn't die, but they've got a lot of sniper toxins in their blood circulating. Long-term effect, what happens? Affects their mitochondria, the patient ends up having a cancer. And we cannot treat cancers in Gambia. So therefore, you're in a death sentence. Look at the ebe they sell in the street. All of these, I observe it when I come to Gambia. They're sitting with hot sun in a plastic bucket. The plastic bucket has some type of toxins. With the heat, leaks into the ebe. And everybody is sucking from a plastic bag, which there's another heat. So you are sucking all these toxins. Oh, ebe bi nehna de. Nehna wante yage raisa bopa. Because you want a quick fix. So what happens? Long term, you've taken so much plastic in your system that your circulatory system is being affected. You have cancer, you have kidney issues. These are all wrong things, and people are not observing. The Food Standard Authority are not going around and controlling these people and say, stop, 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 don't do that. We have things that have been put on paper with cement on it, and then they're wrapping it a bread. Next minute, you go and eat that bread and you just taking in some cement. There are all these things. There's so much catalog of errors that are happening in our country, and people are not being observant enough, are not being critical. I went to Ghana and I went to buy some food out in the street. The way they sell their food there, everything is in boxes. People use gloves to hand over bread to you. People use that. I went to King's Bakery in Turntable, and the man is taking his hand and serving me the gloves. Do I know whether he poked his nose or whether he scratched something? And he's taking his hand to serve me that bread, and I have to consume it. And I said, Mr. Man, do your boss not provide you gloves to serve the population? And he looked at me and thought, look at here, it's not that. It's my health I'm trying to protect. I'm not there negotiating my health with anybody. And you look at the system and you think, should you talk? Should you just give up? Let them carry on. Me, for one, I live abroad. If I'm sick, my children are sick, my husband is sick, allez, they go out and be treated abroad. Kill yourselves if you don't want to change. And people should wake up. There are so many people in positions in the Gambia. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there. But they want money, they want class. Man maneka director of law, man maneka this of law, and la. Hang on a minute, I look at your title and I keep thinking, you're director of this, what are you delivering? I speak to you and I'm asking you questions and you don't seem to understand. You don't. Let me tell you something. People are there criticizing Dr. Samate. I see it a lot on What's on Gambia and all anti-Dr. Samate. I met the man. I met the man when he was chief medical whatever of RBH Hospital. Yeah. And I had a lengthy conversation with him. And he told me his wants and what he needs for the Gambia. I listened to him, and truthfully, and would not lie, the man is sincere. People have to know him. If you look at him, even you will look that he's positively poor. The man doesn't depict wastefulness and riches. You know, he looks positively poor. I assessed him psychologically, physically, emotionally, and knowledgeably, because I did 17 weeks of psychiatry. And I thought, this man is innocent. There is the problem that people forget. He is not in control of the finances. He's not. He can make suggestions. At the end of the day, he's not in control. I'll give you an example. In Great Britain recently, with Liz Truss, our new prime minister, she's hopeless. Yeah? What did she do? When she was campaigning to win, the tax cut, the leader, la. She got into it, pushing Kwasi Kwarteng, who's the chancellor, which is the finance minister. Go and read that. Kwasi read it, and what happened? The whole Britain collapsed. The pound to the dollar, pound to Dallasy, pound to the collapsed. That before we were sending money having $62 into the pound. Now you're sending money, you have $58 into the pound because Liz Truss just messed up. But what happened when they interviewed her? She said that, oh, it wasn't my choice, it was Kwasi Kwarteng's choice, which is a lie. And people criticized her and said, you were on record saying you were going to do this. And now she's going to be shortest lived prime minister because those people don't take nonsense. So this is what I'm saying is there's a hierarchy system. The hierarchy system is from management down. If I'm at the bottom, I'll have to go through the hierarchy system and it filters to the top. So people should know how they criticize and they criticize critically. The whole system of Gambia is a mess. I don't know why people go and be educated abroad. They come to the airport and they forget what they've been educated about. Because you talk to them in their office and you're horrified that to say that. Am I talking to this person? Do they know what they're talking about? What they're telling me, is that what they were educated? It's as if the New York said brain. You know, they just took it out and I'm just like, hang on a minute. Fee do them, Gambia do them. So what do? You struggle. You give up and say, okay, let them carry on this status quo. That's the one the mortuaries will feel. They will continue to build new cemeteries. Joshua will feel very soon. And they will go and do another one. And the whole, every day, they will be firing up and down. Nobody cares. All they think is me. But they do not look at the wider system, which will affect them. It's a sad state of affairs. So this is what I'm telling you, people that buy ebe in plastic buckets, avoid it. It's toxic.
Before you get to your next point, let me get Mrs. Bensouda to come in.
Actually was finishing there.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much. I mean, you said very, very, very important and very, you've raised very salient points. But I just wanted to touch on the bit on Dr. Samate. I knew Dr. Samate since way back because Dr. Samate was my mom's personal doctor. And like you said, I've always found him to be a very fine and distinguished man. And if you notice, I have tried as much as I can to avoid. I've never made a single comment on Dr. Samate, and that is because I knew Dr. Samate before he became Minister of Health, and I know that he's a very sincere man, a very honest man, and I've known him to be a very credible person, and so I have so much respect for him. However, like you mentioned with the issue of Liz Truss, when it comes to issues and matters of responsibility, the leadership must always be held accountable. Niceness, integrity, fine character, and everything else that goes with it is beautiful. It's beautiful. But a leader must be an effective leader. And it is not every humble person, it is not every credible person, it is not every good person that is an effective leader. So when you mention the issue of Liz Truss trying to shift the buck to Kwasi Kwarteng, no, the people rebelled and they said, no, you are the leader. It was not only because she mentioned it, but it was because Kwasi is under the directive of Liz Truss. And therefore, I feel that Dr. Samate should be blamed for the mere fact that he is the chief authority regulating the medical industry in the Gambia, outside President Barrow. So therefore, we know that he is not the accounting officer. We know that he does not handle monies. But we all know that every single minister in the Gambia is not an accounting officer. We know that every director of every institution is not an accounting officer. We know that most CEOs are not the accounting officers. But we also know the system that operates in that country, where it does not necessarily mean that you have to be the accounting officer to be able to infiltrate into the system. Now, I am not suggesting, not even remotely, that Dr. Samate is like that, because I know the man and I believe he is not a corrupt man. He is not a corrupt man. And I don't think I believe he does not have a single ounce of corruption in his bowl. However, Dr. Samate needs to be tough. Dr. Samate needs to know everything that goes on within that ministry, like clockwork, to his fingertips. This is what we expect of a leader. Just as it's going on today, it is not a director, it is not an accounting officer that is holding a press conference. It is Dr. Samate. It is Dr. Samate who is speaking to Gambians, because it is Dr. Samate who is the Minister of Health. It is Dr. Samate who has been made to take control and have a supervisory authority over that institution. So today it is Dr. Samate that is calling a press conference, because he is the Minister of Health, and the leadership box stops at Dr. Samate. And this is what we are saying. And on that note, I'll invite Mrs. Bensouda to say something before we go on to Nene, and then we'll begin to wrap up this program. So Mrs. Bensouda, over to you.
Thank you, Mel. Again, I think you touched on the importance of accountability. You see, if I know someone, I could mention so many qualities that they have. But if Dr. Samate is operating within a system that is corrupt and unproductive, then he has a choice. He can associate with a corrupt or operating within a corrupt government, or he has a choice, he can leave. But you cannot stay in that position, being the Minister of Health, receiving taxpayers' money, and then we're going to count on their character as a person. It has nothing to do with their persona. This has something to do with effectiveness and handling the position bestowed on them. They can be perfectly genuine, honest, empathetic, civilized human beings. But if they're given a responsibility, that's what we are holding them accountable on. The responsibility bestowed on them, the position that they hold, that they're receiving taxpayers' money, that's what we are calling them out for, not them as a person. And so this is where we kind of conflict. Conflict comes in, and we confuse the person and the responsibility. I don't know him. I can just go by what you're saying, that he's a perfect gentleman. But that doesn't excuse that he leads a department or a parastatal or a ministry branch that, because of negligence, 66 or more, I will say 66 and more innocent people lost their lives. Let's not even talk about the 66 now for a minute. How about the mortality in the hospitals where women are going just to merely give birth and they die? Today just mentioned about the electricity that we are losing. How can you phantom children, babies that are in incubators and there's no electricity? Yes, poverty is the biggest enemy that we have as Gambians. But then with the little resources even that is coming into the country, you have corrupt people that are sitting there not thinking about anybody but themselves and their own immediate families. And this is where the problem is. Being accountable, being within a system. I mean, the very honorable gentleman said that we need a system change. When we talk about system change, we're not talking about a machine that we go in and lubricate and change. No, we're talking about our characters. We as individuals, when we walk into that office, what we do from 8 o'clock till 4 to service, to be in service of the Gambian people. You know, they have these small little caboodles and groups or cliques, and when the money comes in, they just, you said opposition bill. Settle the flooding. That just happened. It's not like Halis been nekudinyo, but the new jail Halis bobi lek opposition bill, the palace you have the Musota flood is flooding. That causes disease, and people end up in the hospitals. But there are no medications in the hospitals. So the medications are taken into their own pharmacies. How unethical. And this is what we are talking about. You could be of good character, of sound judgment, but if you are going to operate in an environment where there's corruption, where there's no accountability, we will hold you accountable still. This is not an attack on him as a person, but an attack on the ministry that he runs, that he oversees.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So he is responsible from his assistant all the way to the janitor. Everybody should be held accountable. This is not about personalities, and it hurts because when people we should be glad that if I'm sitting here and talking and people don't challenge me, I don't feel good, because I want to have stimulating, critical conversations where I said, either you learn or you're taught something. You know, we should challenge everything that's being said to us. We should challenge everything that's brought to us. We should encourage our kids and our children to think, research, dissect, you know, and rather than just this ship mentality, just follow anywhere they have a shiny object, we just follow that, and then next week we follow this way. It's staggering, and it's actually really it's just nauseous. It's nauseating.
Absolutely, it's absolutely nauseating.
It's high time we go back to grassroots activism. Each and every one of us should be an activist and be our brother or our sister's keeper.
Okay.
In what number, small numbers that we do that, and having these honest conversations, and people should get outside of their self and be selfless and see ourselves in our fellow Gambians, and help each other and educate each other and be humble while we do it, and do it respectfully, of course. That way, you know, we don't have these conversations. We don't sit on panels and discussing deaths of innocent children. It's heartbreaking. Again, I can't express enough my sadness and empathy and compassion towards the people that have lost their loved ones, and it's just the plight of my fellow Gambians is just I feel it to my core, and I just want to say that we are here. Many of us are active, doing what we do, or the little that we do. Mel, everybody else, and on this panel, Dr. J, doing a little bit that we can do to sensitize, educate, learn, but build some kind of camaraderie. That way we can alleviate the plight and the suffering of our Gambian people.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much,
you.
Mrs. Bensouda. Thank you. That was. Is Nene still on the program? Is Nene still on the program? Okay, I think we'll
it's
wrap
my birthday
up
today.
I think we will wrap up now.
Yes.
So what I'll do, I'll just say I'll just go back round the room and have everybody say a last few words. And it will not stop at this. We'll continue this discussion, and we're going to see what sort of steps. I mean, I've not read the press release because I know the presser was going on as we having this program, but we'll see what steps the government is taking to bring some sort of sanity in this, within this whole really messy issue that's going on with regards to this medication. And then we will actually do a follow-up program on this, where we would talk on, basically focus on the active steps that we should take, both individually and collectively as a people, to see how we can all add towards a more productive and more efficient and effective Gambia. So on that note, Faith, I'll ask you to say a few words, summary, 3 minutes max, and then we'll go to Mrs. Bensouda, and then we'll wrap up because the technician has to go. So 3 minutes, Faith, last words.
Okay. Basically, I just evaluation and listening to everybody who's come on the platform, what they've said. All of us are paining because we want a better Gambia. That's the end of it. We want a better Gambia. We want our people to have good lifestyle, good healthcare system, and everything. But there's a big but to it. If there are no attitudinal change, we are doomed. And this is one of the main issues. Attitudinal change vis-a-vis our relationship with other people. That is very lacking. Therefore, the other thing is the indiscipline. There are major indiscipline in Gambia. You're terrified to say anything. The moment you come out saying anything, they will just jump on you and they will character assassinate you. They would. They will even go and dig your mother's grave and tell you how your mother was buried. So when you look at these things, you tend to retract and think, okay, fine. I'm trying to help, but you're just hitting me on the head. So let me just leave them be. I see people sometimes comment and they say, oh, we need more equipments, no. You can spend billions in equipment, but if you do not have attitudinal change to be able to use those equipment and treat your patients correctly, and educate how to use the equipment. That's why you see you have a graveyard of broken equipments in RVH or other hospitals because the staff don't know how to use it. So you invest, you buy your equipment, you take it and give it to them because you want them to change. But their education also, they don't know how to use a simple BM machine to do a blood sugar monitor. When you assess, the procedure is wrong. They use alcohol in cleaning your hands instead of washing your hands correctly and do it. So you got all these wrong procedure. So education is like, it's coupled. There's so many things you can talk about that. You can see all the errors why people are dying. You know, unfortunately, that's why people are running away to Senegal. But it's time that we have one functional hospital where we import and transfer knowledge to the staff in the Gambia. We import foreign knowledge and all of them are assessed, we transfer knowledge until they stand strongly on their feet. Then we can now leave them loose. But somebody who's not on their feet, and then you want to leave them loose on the patients, they're going to kill them. And that's lack of knowledge. That is the major problem. That's what I can see. I'm not a politician. I won't be a politician. If I talk, it goes in one ear and comes out of the other. So therefore, let them carry the can. They are the ones that the Gambia people voted for. They carry it. We observe from a distance. We can talk, but we cannot make changes because we are not in a position to make changes. That's all I have to say, Melvin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Words of wisdom. I mean, it's been phenomenal having you on. I know you did mention that this was your first time coming on Facebook, especially on Facebook Live on such a platform. But quite honestly, you've been phenomenal. I've learned a lot from you know, your statements and what you have said, and it's been absolutely wonderful having you on board. We won't stop at this, and I hope this won't be your first time. We'll continue to do our own quota, our own part, play our own part in just ensuring and seeing a better Gambia. Yes, I know we're not in the Gambia at the moment, like you said, and sometimes it feels as if like we should just give up because it feels like no matter what you say, it's just falling on deaf ears. They're not bothered, but we'll continue to do what we have to do in the way and manner that we believe is consistent with what is right and what is expected of every good citizen, and we'll continue to do this. But thank you so much, and really appreciate you for coming on. Mrs. Bensouda, we'll have you say your last words. You have 3 minutes.
All right, so I'm going to make my closing remarks in Mandinka, if you would allow that.
Absolutely fine.
I wouldn't know what you're saying.
I wouldn't know what you're saying. I just wouldn't know what you're saying. My fellow panel wouldn't know.
Okay, but I'll make it
no,
so,
Mrs. Bensouda, go on ahead and speak in Mandinka. In fact, what I'm thinking is that the next program, because I don't think it's fair. I think we're shortchanging you know, people who can't speak English. I mean, and I've always said this, and I'm going to say it again, and that is why I feel like a moment like yesterday, I would have expected the president could have even speak in the local languages and just identify with the people. I am a firm believer that the wisdom and ability to speak a particular language does not determine your knowledge or your IQ base. So it is just, I mean, there are people that are phenomenal with a phenomenal IQ and absolutely fantastic intelligence, and they speak only French. There are people who speak only German. It does not, speaking a particular language does not determine your intelligence. Your intelligence is an overall belief and ability to understand and to relate things and to make sense of them. So really, it is the English language is not a measure of intelligence. So I would have expected President Barrow to speak in the local languages, be very confident in the local languages, identify with the people, show empathy, and way better than a stage managed speech that was badly delivered, badly written, badly put together, and it ended up being flat and a total failure. So go on ahead, ma'am, and speak your Mandinka for the next 3 minutes, and let's go.
Well, thank you. Bari Mandinko Lumbal Kontana, men de jang even jibe kan Melvin Roberts la platform odo. aboko men kacha kan bi wolom diningol men fata katum ye borol ye men import from India ye wale you know that cost punyin diningol aboko lafita men tula jang lafita men bulala mbadingol la pun saki miroti wolom nyinti ko you know mbe adama baro la government le fokan katum wale be seri jang wala mo nyaton kolti. It has nothing to do with politics, manaja politic kola, but abole ni alfalso meli alonko wole banko tamandinya nyata banko tamandi la nyame wol be wole bulu nin koro keta aboko mbe murundi la le drong ni sindi nyato fananka fo ko munati na nyin keta kato ngamira le ko dinongol men fatay man nyanna falano because ni momo be la place auto doku e men dila ni okay yake lillahi wa rasuli ala na la kila yake comme Gambia taxpayers be jola menna aboko nyin kusi falte kala so wole kacha yen fili Gambi me hakko dane la dang no man ko mo Senia Bake, but you know I can understand and speak in that dialect. So Mbaltentula Mbaljegata sitting here with us, Peter Janika Lamoy, but Mementula Buludron activism. Gambia funding kelo activism ta nga mol nyininka ni mona ta ron ye kuma fonye alkana just ta ron katung karilon wala nyin konton le bala wala nyin group le bala wala nyin symbol le bala wala bota nyin family le to aleka kumol kisi ka yele mande ka jibe asike kumol me yalon ko mosa fahamano but you know ka finti ron ka Gambian kol muta toleti wala mol ma yon ko iman karang hanini man tubabu karang fanan karang ye kullol karane wala ye karandi muslima yalla le ye karandi hadama din yalla le aboko hadama din ya fongo wala bota na Gambian society fongo kono aboko mol man bala fasoto nyoy koteke be kodole no makan ron you know status standards all of this labels and titles aboko nga wala fahama yande kabo hadama din yalla kabo misimele ya kono wala ni mu christianoti kato you know ala fongole hadama dimo cemento ya so boko mbotan na lord la leto saying you know all of this breakdown is happening in the Gambia na dunta security wala nga for health nga for communication electrical hani fenne man tarata makan nta bulo chodi no la dron government but inton fana sen fanjibe fana lafita munella nim policies yanol nata politique wato ibe la nyim fane akumol fala mol ye ko ni sita be nyene kala e make nyanta diamulale nyanta fintelele nga diam you know and the rest I will say in English that is just not allow certain situations to live rent free in our brains. Let's nurture our children. Let's encourage our children, and let's push for their confidentiality. Confidence, I feel like it's very important because that's the reason where people get lost, lose themselves, and just follow whatever and just follow the norm or whatever it is that is happening right now, or what is making buzz right now. Nañ leen jàngal suñ njaboot gi fonk suñ bopp xam ñun ñooy kan ñun Gambians lañ ñu am jom lañ liggéeykat lañ suñ ñëwee di ñu wax yoo xamante ni enut maanaam nañ leen challenge nit su fekkente ne yow mun nga am sañ-sañ ñu wax ak nit ñi te bëgguloo ko la challenge kon da nga war a noppi soo demee ba ubbi sa gémmiñ bugg a askan bi wala bugg a waxtaan ak nit ñi kon soo juumee ñu wax la ko waruloo cee mer nañ leen yokk suñ njaboot gi may leen am jom suñ doom yi suñ xale yi ndaw yi si seen boppa nañ leen won ne they are kings, they are queens, they are young prince and princesses that ëllëg ñu xam seen boppa ëllëg ñu xam fuñ war a taxaw ba xaalis du leen tiital title du leen tiital wala boog position yi nga xamante ni moo am si jamono ji ni ñuy xeex like ku nekk léegi dafa bëgg ñu xam la ku nekk da nga bëgg am position te wallahi nit ñaa ngi si place yoo xamante ni kenn déggul leen kenn yëgul leen ñu ngi def phénoménal ñu ngi def liggéey yu baax kon ma di leen gërëm di leen baalu ak si wax ji di leen wax ne jërëjëf di leen wax ne continue leen support Melvin plateforme am bi wax yu enu maana ñi fi toog yëpp tey docteur Cissé Faith Nene Frida ñëpp gis nañ si li ñoo yëngu we have very good examples we have very good people ñoo xamante ne dinañoo inspire ñu mun a toppa si seen gannaaw jàng ci ñoom ñu jàngalante ñu yërëmante ñu dimbalewante I digress. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Melvin.
Thank
you
you very
so much,
much.
madam.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bensula. It was absolutely amazing having you all. And I extend my thanks to each and every one of you. Also to Nene Frida that joined us but has left. Of course, it's her birthday. Dr. J was phenomenal, but she had an engagement also. And of course, to our technical guy, Joe Cotton. And thank you so much.
And we thank you too.
We really, really appreciate it. And I pray that God will continue to protect and guide us all as we continue to do
Amen.
our own little bit in ensuring a Gambia that we all want. So this is a start. It's not going to stop. We will continue. We'll continue to bring topics of discussion that are very key and very crucial and very important to the whole setup as a country and as citizens. And we'll continue to do and advocate what really is expected of us. So thank you very much, ladies. It
Thank
was
you.
absolutely amazing sharing a platform with such phenomenal women. And I'm grateful, so immensely grateful for having you guys. And thanks to our audience. They have been very engaging. I've been reading the comments, and we thank all of you. We thank you, those that are sharing the page, liking and commenting and leaving all your busy schedules and coming and joining us here. It is very encouraging because we can't do this without you. So thank you to each and everyone. And we will continue to be here and continue to advocate so that we would have a system where it wouldn't be a system of those who don't know fighting the people that know, because if you do that, it will always end in calamity. And that is not what we want for our country. So on that note, I wish you all a blessed and good night and enjoy
Yeah.
the rest of the weekend. Thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Mel. Thanks, Mel. Bye.
Gambia we tamala Luffy amma mut fenen Sama mamda na mo wanan Jamareka war Bunya papolo don bena Kandunya mo na dara Reo me sunyu reula Nyepa anda jog Nung lenyan Jama sasa sunyu reu Sapante te japante Moi sunyu waref Burialenyo gelenyar Nasama sunyu digante Nyeplamang kutte dono ben lolu La fe mami bayubon Nyeplamang kutte dono ben Gijamu Gambia
Jotali makas bilel tanghal masindal biway bonyi be nga nuyul masa papa way oyal ma aji wax ko mata nena awane ñu magal tobaski ji way genaaw elek noel la su passé ba ñu tek ci ñaari semaine sang mari la tam lolu lañ fi xam ben baat lolu lañu am juróom ñaari nit ci ben bool lolu lañu xam ar jodoga tambi nang nuyul masa papa ankira jam bul ma jam jama lañ fi am amut hette amut diine lolu lañ fi bàyyi woon